Good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have a stacked panel, ladies and gentlemen. Two guests. Most of the crew is back. Pong Soul making his guest appearance. He's making his return appearance to the chair that he owns. That's right, because obviously, real life sucks sometimes, so you got to go to work and pay bills, things of that nature. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show. 4 topics, all bangers, as the kids like to say. You're going to check out some Titanfall 2 footage. Folks, life has been so busy that I just haven't had a chance to record a lot of the new stuff. I definitely want to get into the yappening happening today on Halo Infinite. It looks wacky, but I do like wacky, so I'm going to definitely jump back into Halo Infinite and see what they got going on and actually take time to record some footage. Because you ever, you're so into playing a game, you forget to record footage. It just drives me crazy. But let's welcome in our guests. And first and foremost, the Steel one, the one that I was literally just listening to him in Pong while I was cleaning the bathroom, while I was tidying up the house. A killer show this Saturday. If you missed Living Split Screen's 4-hour affair, ladies and gentlemen, you have to get and watch that. Great insights and big opinions on the CMA, on everything that's going on, specifically on what is going to happen once Call of Duty does get into Xbox Game Pass. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong Steel. How the heck are you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm feeling pretty fantastic. Things have been going pretty well. The news just keeps on dropping. The games keep coming, and I can't get enough. Look, man, I just continuously appreciate that you welcome the rain just on the show. I might as well just have a key to the back door.
You can have the key right to the front door. No back door.
Okay, to the front.
Your family. That's
I'm
right.
just going to open up the fridge, grab me something to drink, make a sandwich, and I'm going to join the conversation. Let's do it, man. Appreciate it.
Good stuff, as always. And the second half of Living Split Screen. Pong Soul, welcome back, brother. How you feeling? Oh, you're muted.
He feels like he's on.
Listen. No, my mic is still doing funny things to me, so bear with me, everybody. But it is great to be back on Xbox Factor podcast on Tuesday. I got my brothers here. We got guests here. It's great to see everybody, and started off the day with fantastic cyberpunk news. That's right. One of my goats of all time, despite what everybody else wants to see. Man, it is back, but we got a lot of news to cover, Boom. It's been a while, so if I'm a little rusty, bear with me, but I'm here. So
listen, we definitely appreciate you, and rusty is something you can't do because you're on 17 podcasts, so I don't think there's any rust. Welcoming in for the first time ever. We've had a lot of people run through the podcast from Xbox Era, but it is Jesse Norris. Jesse, thank you so much for being here, brother. It is great to finally work with you. You said you wanted to spread your wings a bit, and I am so thrilled that you are a part. Obviously, I watch you and Nick and John and OBM chatted up on a regular basis, and obviously, you usually are the guy in the chair, the guy that's making all the big calls, especially when they're live on the air. How are you? And welcome to the program.
Hey, well, thank you for having me. I am doing great. It's fun to be on something I don't have to produce for once. I get to just sit back and talk.
Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that a great feeling that there's no, oh my God, the shit hit the fan, or they didn't get the show notes, or Nick went off on a tangent like he normally does.
Nick decided at the last minute to just take Father's Day off without telling me, and so then I've got to be on and produce at the same time. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's good. But listen, Jesse, it's great to have you back. Obviously, this will not be the last time that you're here. Love the work that you're doing over both in the review side of Xbox Era, but also in the production side of what makes that podcast tick. And we're happy to have you here. Let's welcome in Mav. Mav, you joined us late yesterday on the impromptu special edition Xbox Factor podcast, and you're back, brother. It is great to have you here. How are you feeling?
Doing great. Awesome. We're joined by some awesome people here. This is like this panel is stacked. Boom.
Yeah. All superstars.
We're gonna have a blast. I can't wait to get into some of these topics that you sent. It's gonna be a fire show, everybody. And I'm glad to see Steel and Pong here together. The whole Living Split Screen brothers.
We haven't spent enough time together, have we?
Yeah, this weekend we spent a lot of time together. We've been
play some Battlefield later.
Heck, we've been playing the heck out of Battlefield, and
it looks really good. Like I've seen some of your streams, and I gotta admit, I feel like I gotta play that game now.
It's running smooth,
It's
man.
so
Really
much
good
better,
now.
dude.
It's
Yeah.
running smooth.
I have a feeling we may be playing some more today. We'll see.
Hey, straight to it. Let's go.
Yeah. I may have to do some recording of footage and jump into that because that really does look like they have cleaned up.
Yeah, they
a
fixed the
significant amount of
fundamentals.
of big issues. And maybe at some point we will see that come back and be a bigger player in the space. And I'm glad they're getting their stuff together because it's sad to see the way Battlefield was. And now Halo didn't have that issue. They had great starting content. It's their finishing content that's been the issue. So it's a shame to see both franchises that are legendary IP struggle, but it's great that they are not giving up on them, and that we could see new and improved ways of playing. Like I said, Forge is going to be the game changer for Halo Infinite, which I can't wait for. I mean, you've seen all the maps that people. I mean, I saw someone made AT-ATs walking AT-ATs on a what? Yep, sign me up. I'm in. I'm good. And you know what's going to be the I went off a tangent here, but what's going to be the triumphant story for Halo Infinite is the community that does Forge. Like John, we know is a forger. That guy knows
all
his
he
stuff.
talks about is how much he's enjoying what he's doing without any specifics because of
right. He can't say much, but I'm going to say what is going to be the great story is not how 343 saved Halo. I think they're going to take an unbelievably public back seat to the community, who is essentially going to save the IP, save the brand. And you know what? Why not? Why shouldn't it be the community that still has stuck behind a game that launched as a service game and just can't keep up with the Joneses, so to speak? But I can't wait to see what the community does. But let's continue with the introductions because this is getting long in the tooth. Daniel McGee, what's up, brother? How you feeling? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm not really a Halo fan, so I didn't have anything to lose.
Okay.
But
your mic is just a pinch loud.
Oh, let me just. Yeah. Is that any better?
Yes, it is. Much better. Yes, there you go.
Okay, sorry. No, but yeah, it's been a great time. I about halfway through Red Dead 2. Don't know why I waited so long to play that game. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I got to chapter 6 and I fell off.
Yeah, I know how it ends, and I'm not looking forward to it. That's the big thing, is I'm doing all the side content because I'm just trying to avoid that ending. So hopefully I still like it by the time we get there. But I think we're going to have a great show today, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And last and no way least, Infinite Umbra. What's going on, brother? You guys had a great show Friday evening. I was in the chat for a bit. I'm not sure if anyone saw me sneaking around. How you feeling?
Yeah, we had our security dogs out there. We saw you come through. Yeah, I'm good, brother. How are you? Good morning, everybody in the chat, and people on the panel, and to our guests, of course. Still, Rain, by the way, you may as well just be a panel member at this point, brother.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Welcome, panel member, Rain, still Rain. I was going to say though, I want to rain on y'all parade, Mav and Pong, and y'all enjoying this battlefield while we suffer here on Halo. I'm not feeling that energy that you all have going on.
I'm suffering here with Halo too, man.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's true. You are a Halo fan too. Well, all right, but I was going to say, Danny, you're playing RDR 2?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I haven't played. I bought that game when it first came out and just put it off because everyone was saying how long it was.
It's a long game. It's long game.
It is, and especially if you really dive into like the side content or whatever. But man, that's
a masterpiece. Halo Infinite is better than Red Dead Redemption 2.
I wouldn't say that.
Let's go.
I wouldn't say that.
Here we go. Battle Royale. Now, Salt's coming out, and I'm expecting Kabuki to throw salt in people's eyes right now.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is my game of the generation last gen.
No question. That in The Witcher.
For me, it's the last generation, even though the game was just phenomenal. Not my game of the generation at all. Yeah. We should actually have a podcast about that. For me, it was Division 1. That's my game of the generation for a multitude of reasons. But listen, as we starting to roll into the we got 262 people here. I want to say welcome. If you are finding the channel for the first time, I would ask that you consider subscribing. This week is the third week in a row where I'm doing 5 live streams Monday through Friday. Because I just there's some days you can take a break, and there's some days where the news is just too vibrant that you got to stream, and I'm quite enjoying it, and I'm thrilled. Incredibly humbled that people do come in and tune in for when the shows go live. So if you're finding it for the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, of course, hit the bell icon. And folks, I am 3 followers away from 10K. Isn't that crazy? That's bonkers.
Hey.
So if you're not following me on Twitter, head over there, follow me. I'll follow you back. Let me hit 10K. That would be pretty cool, because I don't know how I'm going to get a blue check mark. I've tried, and they have denied me at the door. I know it's, and I have 138,000 tweets, by the way, which is bonkers. And I've never been flagged. I've never been reported. I'm a content creator, and I'm still not let into they will not remove the velvet rope, which
they haven't done it for any of us in
I'm feeling the type of way about it. So
you need an organization behind you, it feels like.
Yeah, I guess. It's a shame that they gatekeep the way they do, especially when you have places like Xbox Era, places like Double Barrel Gaming, and so many others, the Iron Lords, that offer positivity, that offers inclusion, that lets everyone in through the door. It's a shame that they don't have someone that's actually, because they really don't care at the end of the day. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off today's show with some celebratory type of news. Now, you're not going to find this story on many podcasts, but you're going to find it here on the Xbox, this Xbox show, because we cover stories that are very large and stories that are very small. And I think that this is a big story that no one is talking about. And I gotta give a big shout out to, of course, Idle Sloth, who, if you don't know him on Twitter, I'm a good friend of his. He's a good friend of mine. He is one of the best people to follow, especially if you're looking for Xbox news. I call him the internet sleuth, because that's pretty much what he is. Well, thanks to him, we have now learned that Arron Greenberg, yes, that Arron Greenberg, Mr. Good Guy himself, has been promoted within Microsoft. And to be honest with you folks, again, not a story we're going to spend an hour on, not a story you're probably going to hear on many podcasts, but I think that it's worthy of a conversation simply because of what Arron Greenberg does bring to Xbox and its community. If you've ever had the pleasure of talking to him, and I have, both in person during E3 2019, I had a chance to have a conversation with him. He is as genuine as a human being in person as his persona presents him in the social spaces. I pulled this directly from Idle Sloth on Twitter at IdleSloth84. It says this: according to Arron Greenberg's LinkedIn, he has been promoted from general manager, Xbox Games Marketing, to vice president of Xbox Games Marketing at Microsoft. And considering how big of the moves that Xbox are making in this space, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I'm just going to run through the panel real quick and get the guy's opinion on this. We'll start first with Jesse. Look, again, not a story you're going to hear on many shows, but I really do dig Arron Greenberg, not only as a representative of Xbox, but as a public-facing human being. Like, he does a lot of charity work that goes unnoticed, untalked about. And if you would ask him, he'd be like, yeah, you know what? It's not really that. I don't talk about it because it's not why I do it. And that's the kind of person he is. Is this something that you're happy to see happen?
Oh, extremely. I've had very limited interactions every time, been super nice. Everyone that I've met in the industry over the last few years has nothing but positive things to say about him. I think the biggest thing with him is he gets it in a way that, big executives don't always do with gaming, is he really gets what Xbox is, what the fans want. There's no one better there outside of Phil, who also is surprisingly nice when we had him on. There's no one better, I think, for that company to interact with the fans now. There were times in the past he might have offered too much Promises are like I know a lot of people point to May a couple of years ago with the initial gameplay for series consoles and that type of stuff and hyping it up. I think he's gotten really good at not overhyping anymore. He's just there, super positive all the time, really just loves gaming, and that always comes across. So it's great to see him succeed more and more.
Yeah, I agree. I love to see the good people get the promotions. I love to see the good people get the success to get back what they put out. Pong, let's go to you real quick. This is a big deal. It's a big deal for him personally, and considering how many moves we expect Microsoft to make after this deal with ABK gets done, whether that is in November or it does get brought into the first quarter, which is what you said on Saturday's show. You were in my camp. You believed it was going to be this year, and I think we both. I still believe that there's a chance, but I think that I'm starting more and more to get like you, where you think it's first quarter. The moves that they're going to be making after this deal, if you think it's over, it's not, and giving him a bigger position, I think is incredibly important to keep someone of his status quo there.
Yeah. You want to keep. First of all, congratulations to Arron. For again showing consistency throughout his career and just sticking by Xbox and being one of the faces that we in the community get to know so well because Xbox is so forward facing and they're out here amongst us. Whatever you think, again, of course, at the end of the day, it's all business always, but having people like Arron, like Phil, like Sarah Bond out here among the community, interacting with people on Twitter is really unique for a company the size of Microsoft, even their division by itself, Xbox, and it's special. And Greeny is one of those main characters that we get here. And like Jesse was saying, he's one of us. He's one of those guys who is a gamer at heart, just like Phil, just like basically the entire Xbox team. Whenever you see him talk about games, you could truly believe that they sit down and play what we're playing. And so to see somebody like Greenberg continue to progress in his career at Xbox is awesome. And you want, like you were talking about, Boom, with as big of movements as Xbox and Microsoft are making now in this industry, now all behind it, 100%, changing the industry, moving forward, trailblazing new ground for, the entire industry. You got to have continuity, and you want to see continuity at the top because that creates stability throughout. And so having Greenberg get moved up, get promoted in a position that he excels at, from my point of view. I mean, we can have that discussion if anybody wants to have the discussion, but I think he excels at what he is supposed to do. That means to me that everybody there is getting rewarded for all their hard work through all of these years, through the tough times and the good times. It's always easy to get promoted during the good times, right? But Greeny stuck it out from the beginning, like Phil, through all the bad times, the dark times. You saw him in that documentary. And so I think right now he's starting to get his flowers, and that's the way it should be. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the entire team. And going forward, I expect big things, even bigger things than even the Activision Blizzard deal as we head into this generation further. So great news. Happy for Greenberg. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why so serious? In the chat says Greenberg drinks beers with fans. Yes, he does.
Yes.
Which he has posted on many social media aspects. So we know Greeny likes a nice beer or three, for sure. Let's Mav, let's bring you into the conversation. This is good. Because one of the things that you have to worry about with talent is keeping them, right? I'm not saying that there was ever thought that Greenberg would leave. I mean, he's been with the company, I think, 30 years. He's been there for as long as Phil Spencer, maybe even longer. So you don't expect someone like a Sarah Bond or someone like him to pick up and go, but it is nice to see someone get a promotion that is along with the character that they have been putting out there for what seems like years.
Oh yeah, sometimes good guys win, right? And it seems like he's kind of like Phil, been a lifer there and just worked his way up and and put in the work, and now he's being rewarded for it. At the end of the day, in the back of my mind still, I know a lot of us kind of feel like a big part of one of Microsoft's and Xbox's weaknesses this last generation has been their marketing side as well, right? So, but we don't know if that's like on Arron necessarily, right? So what I'm curious about is like, does this give him more control, hopefully, to potentially do more awesome things, right? Because the getting in front of the audience and kind of being in touch with what they want seems like he knows what that is. But then sometimes when they come out and it's time to deliver, right? It's time to deliver what everybody knows that we want to see and really create that hype, right? Xbox tends to sometimes fall flat on their face, and I'm hoping this maybe gives him more control and leeway to be able to make some decisions with that if that's what he wants to do. You know what I mean? And overall, he's a great dude, though. Like on Twitter, he's absolutely awesome. He interacts with so many different people, stays in touch with the community. Seen so many pictures of people with him at events and everything like that. And he always seems like he makes time for everybody.
He does.
So I'm super happy that to see that for sure.
Yeah, no, good stuff. He's not following me on Twitter, Arron. If you're listening, brother, a little follow would go a long way. I'm just saying. But Daniel McGee, this is great. I love to see big companies reward the people that when you talk about them, universally they're praised. And Arron Greenberg is one of them for sure. And I like what Mav actually just said, because if there is some criticism, from Microsoft, one of their Achilles heels has been messaging, and we don't necessarily know if he had full charge of that. Maybe this promotion does give him that, and he does have a better look through the window, so to speak. What are your thoughts on this? And is this good news for Xbox?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's definitely better news for Arron Greenberg, but I think it's good news just across the board, right? Like, I couldn't name a specific like marketing campaign that Arron had his name on, but I know what he does for the community, and it's just, it wouldn't be the same without him, right? He's always there on the front lines, saying the things that need to be said and being part of the conversation. He's one of the reasons why Microsoft comes across as so human. Even though they're this massive company, they manage to have these people who are, on the Twitter levels, or they're guest starring on podcasts. I don't know, maybe we can get Arron on the show. That'd be great. Yeah. But having people who actually come out and talk and speak their mind, obviously they can't, break NDA or anything. Like it helps to make that company feel like it's made of people instead of just this like faceless corporate machine. And Arron is a big part of that. So I couldn't be happier for him.
Nice. Yeah, good stuff. And that's a great point. Obviously Microsoft is a very, very large company, a very large conglomerate, and it's easy to get lost in the size of the company. And that's the one thing that we have to say specifically about Xbox. That doesn't happen. And Arron is a big part of that for sure. Umbra, let's get your final points on this. Seeing that we got confirmation not only from Idle Sloth to put it out there, but Arron Greenberg thanked everyone for congratulating him, and that confirmed it for me. Are you happy to see Arron get his flowers, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm always happy to see good people get, I guess I don't want to say the comeuppance, but I'm always happy to see them be rewarded, I guess is the word. Arron is a good dude, as we all know if you've communicated with him or have seen him online. And that's the one thing I really appreciate about Microsoft. I've said it before, like it's much like the community where we're always reaching out to each other to even if it's to appear on each other's podcast or just communicate on as far as party chat on Xbox, things of that nature. And Arron and a lot of the execs and such in Microsoft, they actually further that thought. He does follow me, by the way. Boom, eat your heart out. I just want to throw that out there. No shade.
That ain't right.
You know what it was though, right? You know how I got him, right? So it was Black History Month, right? It was Black History.
I don't know when but see, that just goes to show you that it doesn't matter with him. He follows you because you're a prominent member of the community. No, it's
true.
Honestly.
It's true. No, but I guilted him. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It was Black History Month, and I was like, "Yeah, Aaron, why don't you follow a brother?" I know he's like, "Oh, a brother, okay, got you." No, but seriously though, Aaron is a good dude, man, and I'm happy to see that for anybody who, like I said, is a good person and is deserving. And I'll say that even if we, like Matt pointed out, if the marketing part hasn't been as great for Xbox, which we can all agree, I can imagine with this raise and position change, I'm sure it'll probably pick up. So I'm hoping to see some really good positives for that in that area too. And like you said too, maybe it's some things he can actually implement that he didn't have control over before. So,
well, one thing, Umbra, too, right? Like, if there was any question about like who makes a lot of the decisions with marketing before, and like that, some of that's alleviated knowing this title change. Now is vice president of marketing for Xbox, right? So we can kind of look and have a clearer picture of that to know where some of the fault lies at times when things seem like the ball's been dropped. You know what I mean? So,
yep, absolutely. Yeah, no, but I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him. It seems like a lot of people getting this VP situation going on for him. First Phil, now Aaron. Who's next?
Yeah, so Sarah for sure. Like I said,
she has a new title every week.
Yeah. Well, she's I throw her flowers as much as I can. I think she's a huge part of the success of Microsoft now, currently, and in the future. I have a strong suspicion. And again, I have no inside connections whatsoever. Remember, I said this first. If it happens, I think that once she has done such a great job, I originally said that I think she is going to succeed Phil, but I don't see Phil going away for going away for years. I just don't. Honestly, if I were to pick a potential landing spot for Sarah Bond, it's the head of Activision. Because we know that Blizzard is in good hands with Mike Ybarra. I don't know who the head of King is, but the one thing about King is all they do is make money, and whoever's there, it hasn't been caught up in any sexual lawsuits or anything. So I would imagine said person is going to remain in that position as long as it's not Bobby Kotick, who's the head of King. So my landing spot for Sarah, for me, would be potentially Activision. But again, that's just me spitballing here. Really great points from everybody. We have 402 people in the chat. I want to say welcome to everyone. A big shout out for making this another successful podcast, because when you have this many people, anything after 400, folks, is a bonus. Real quick, 2 super chats came in. Shooter 2853 has been not only a channel member for a month. Shooter, thank you so much for that. He drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom, Mrs. Boom, Mav, Jesse, Daniel, Steel Rain Pong, and Sir Infinite Umbra. Hope you're all well. Thank you for the great entertainment." Well, thank you, brother, for the generosity. And, of course, more importantly, the kind words. And Black Sausage drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Everyone needs to play Metal Hellsinger." Dude, I freaking can't wait for that. That is Doom turned up to 11 with death metal. I mean, what could you possibly want more? And that has been confirmed today that it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass, both PC and console. I can't wait for that. That's going to be a big deal. But let's move on to the.
You got to get Steele's opinion here. Come on,
Steel. I didn't get you.
No, but it was all good. Everybody basically
no. Let's Steel. Oh, Jesus Christ! This is what happens when you have too many people in here. Steel, thank you for the save, Pong. Steel, listen, you have been very vocal in the past on a Living Split Screen regarding marketing for Xbox. It is a monster part of the business for gaming. Sometimes Microsoft gets it wrong, but I think that they got it right now, especially by giving someone who is always on social media, who is always community and front-facing, Arron Greenberg, getting the VP spot. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
I mean, everybody else pretty much knocked it out of the park, so I'll make it quick. Hopefully this alleviates the problems that Microsoft has in their marketing department. Maybe him getting moved up is going to actually push that out more, since he does have that good favor with the people and everything. That's the major space that they're lacking in. And I want to I know everybody sings Arron Greenberg's praises and everything, but I don't know the dude. And if I ever end up meeting the dude, who knows? But I do want to see what he actually contributes overall to the marketing department, because thus far, if I was just going to base it off of his work, I mean, you got to be able to do more than just talk to the people. You have to actually put the games out there, and they're not out there. So I can't sing his praises that way, but I can say he does seem to be very forward facing, does seem to understand what it takes. Is just actually implementing that, because he's been in that position for a while, and maybe, well, not in this position, but at least being part of the marketing team for a while. And if he hasn't had enough of an influence to make a change at that point, even being with the company as long as he's been, I don't know how much is going to change with him moving up, but hopefully it's a lot, because Xbox really needs it. So
there's one thing that has it, much like with 343 kind of rebuilding on the fly. It feels like Xbox is rebuilding their marketing.
Yes,
they brought in
agree.
Tina Amini.
Yeah,
she was the editor-in-chief over at IGN, and now she is, I believe, is the director of their broadcasts and event strategy for bringing things
Really?
back. I'd imagine.
Is that something that just recently happened?
No, that was in June-ish, I think.
Wow, that went right over the head of me and everyone else.
Things like XO, those types of things, bringing live events and stuff back in. So
right,
and that's what I want. They're in that process of rebuilding so much.
Yeah, exactly, and that's more so what I want to see somebody actually make that presence felt, and just put Xbox on the forefront, because I mean, it just seems very lacking versus what they're trying to accomplish. It's kind of like this: is you're pulling against yourself. You don't need to be. Or don't you just, hey, everybody, let's get in the same room and let's head one direction.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree, and your criticism is on point. Again, the one thing about Steele is that he doesn't throw shade for no reason, and you had some great points there. Actually, points that no one else talked about, and I'm glad that you did, because there has been somewhat of a miss, so to speak, when it comes to marketing, especially when you said with getting the games out there, which we know why they're not out there this year. We know that they are coming next year. Is going to be a powder keg of Xbox stuff.
And see, but that's part of the conversation for me, though, Boom, where it goes a little bit deeper. I'm gonna just dive out on the deep end for a little bit, because it doesn't just have to be first party. That's the thing. If you're if you're a part of that marketing team, it doesn't matter. It should be games that are coming part of your ecosystem that you should be marketing, because those are potential avenues to introduce more people into your ecosystem. Isn't that your goal, or are we all confused? And that's what I'm currently kind of fuddled about, because I don't know which way they're really trying to go. It's like they're playing one direction, but you don't know exactly. It's like a new quarterback to a new team. Like, you know how to play a quarterback, but you may not know how to play within this team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that's just no. Listen, good stuff. I love how we open up the show, but I want to move on to topic number 2, ladies and gentlemen, because I think this one is pretty interesting. Now, this one has been reported upon by numerous sites. And I know two super chats just came up. I will get to them momentarily. I do want to get this rolling. The Callisto Protocol, a game that Pong himself cannot wait to play in the dark with headphones on and strapped to the TV, where it either plays or he does.
Wait, why am I the new Zemi? Now stop. I'm not.
I'm only saying that because I heard what you said. Oh, I'll play Dead Space, but I'm not playing Callisto Protocol. Correct. All right, listen. Callisto Protocol, one of my most anticipated games, because I'm a Dead Space stan, right? I actually have game footage recorded of that's old as hell. I mean, come on, it's the Xbox 360 up-resed. I'm looking forward to Dead Space, but I am more so looking forward to the Callisto Protocol because it's by the team that made Dead Space. They went out there and they put this new IP together, and it is pays homage to the original. But we know what happened with this studio, right? They were sent packing in the most EA way you could possibly get sent packing. And then what does EA do? They go out and they, a couple of years later, say, we're going to remake Dead Space. So I'm happy for Glen Schofield, who is the director over there. But this is very interesting, folks. Now, from what I understand, I think Sony does have the marketing rights for this game because they showed it on their stage. So what we're going to talk about is not happening now, but it is going to potentially happen afterwards. And the Callisto Protocol director teases that Xbox Game Pass could be the next landing spot for Callisto Protocol. And this comes directly from Glen Schofield, and this is what he had to say, folks. I don't know yet. We have talked about it, says Schofield. I think we have to give the game time in the market, that it will be sold, etc. But well, we're very close friends with Phil Spencer. I've known him for a long time. He's very into the game, and I'm very into Microsoft. We're doing amazing things on Xbox with ray tracing and even use a lot of Microsoft's technology inside of the game. And they've been giving us a lot of help. So we're going to do everything we can to collaborate with Xbox. Now, you see my face, right? Watch the eyes, the crazy eyes, because I'm going to sidebar this shit right now. And as great as Callisto Protocol coming this year is awesome. The fact that he says what he says, which I have quoted him saying, is even better. He has a great relationship with Xbox. He has a great relationship with Microsoft. He's good friends with Phil Spencer and team. Well, the sidebar comes the way of, this is the question. Now, we know Microsoft is all about adding talent to XGS. And just reading those taglines, to me, ladies and gentlemen, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. Steele, I'm going to go to you first on this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I nearly skipped you, so I owe you at least that. Look, we know that Microsoft, in regards to publishers, are probably done for a while once the ABK deal goes through. Now, again, right. I could be wrong, but if we have heard, and again, folks, this is just spitballing here. I have connections, very small ones for my size of a channel, but I have heard from several places that Microsoft had certain moves that they were going to make in this year, right? Before, and then they were starting to set up at the end of last year. Moves like adding IO, Crystal Dynamics, things of that nature. We have heard those kinds of those rumblings. But when you get ABK dropped into your lap, hey, Bobby Kotick calls you up, hey, do you want to buy us? You gotta take everything off and streak the hell out of the place, because that's a once in a lifetime deal. The same way Bethesda was a once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah.
Deal. Hearing what Schofield has to say seems to me like a manifesto to say we are looking to be acquired without saying we're looking to be acquired. If Callisto Protocol jumps off the page like I'm anticipating it will, I think it's going to be one of the best-selling games this year. I think it's going to be one of the biggest games on all platforms this year, simply because horror is not a game, is not something that you find at every corner, right? This is a new IP. This is the same team that brought us Dead Space. Does Microsoft look at this and say, you know what, let's see how this game does? If this game hits like it and it slaps like I think it's going to slap, do you think Microsoft makes an offer when they're done with ABK?
I think at this point, would they need to make an offer? Of course not, but I think they probably should, just to have something additionally as part of that library, right? Horror games, especially this year, are doing something crazy that I hadn't seen in a while, and that's really just making a comeback. And I've seen a lot of people this time around really hyped to see these games coming out. Now, I'm not a horror game guy myself. Dead Space is definitely that fine line for me, and even some moments in Dead Space, until you recognize that the game mechanics at the time, probably they had to work with what they had. It's like moving out of certain areas and the enemies wouldn't chase you anymore. Even with that, anticipating it just still made my skin crawl sometimes. So with a game like Callisto Protocol, I mean, I'm on record currently saying, hey, y'all want me to play Callisto Protocol day one, I live a split screen, got to get to 1K, because as of right now, it's just too much going on for me. Now for Xbox, again, you're fitting a niche that is getting a lot of traction, and then also jumping off the attention of like a Dead Space, or everybody's has that memory. I don't know if it's going to do gangbusters, but it's definitely going to catch the eye of the audience that it needs to, right? The core Dead Space fans. They're gonna get in this, which is also gonna get them hyped for the remaster, which is basically coming right around the corner right after. But yeah, I mean, I think they should. I mean, you want variety, and Phil's always said that. Where we want as much variety as we can. Sure, they're also looking at other ways to get more family-friendly things, but why not get a little bit of everything? And I don't think it would be too much over the moon to get them a part of that, especially with the way the things are going on. So that's me.
I mean, listen, it's. Listen, all I can say is when I hear that kind of talk, and now, Pong, maybe you know this question, maybe you don't. I see some people saying in the chat, doesn't the PUBG group own them? I was unaware that they did. I thought that they worked with them. I didn't know that they were owned by them. But look, regardless of the fact, I love what the guy is saying. I love the fact that he's talking about, we're using Microsoft tools to build this game. They have been very helpful with in building this game. He's good friends with Phil. They're good, they're good friends with Microsoft. To me, that sounds like, hey, listen, we'd like to join Xbox. Would they be, if this game hits, would that be the kind of studio you think they'd want to add?
Well, again, yeah, they are underneath the PUBG, by the way, because they were actually formed to expand the PUBG universe, and that's where the rumors of Callisto Protocol happening within the same universe as PUBG started. However, Schofield has come out and clarified that Callisto Protocol became its own thing, and it's outside of the PUBG universe at this point. So, listen, I'm always for adding talent, and if we're in speculation town, of course, boom, anything can happen. I'm always on board with them expanding, and like Steele said, the horror genre is having a huge resurgence right now, a huge rebirth within the video game industry. So of course, it's always nice to have studios. They've got Tango, who obviously does great work in the horror space as well. But if you could add another studio that are experts, masters of their craft, yeah, absolutely. Of course. Why not do it? I just think that after the ABK deal, I think there's a bunch of smaller deals already lined up. And I think that,
I'm right there with you, brother. I agree.
Yeah, I think that they've kind of been, in a traffic jam right now due to ABK. And I think all those are going to be announced as soon as that acquisition gets through. You can never have too much talent, though. Again, it's like any other industry. When you find it, you got to, if you can have the opportunity to step in, bring it underneath the umbrella for Xbox, of course you do it. I just think that these guys, when they stepped out of the shadow of EA and they kind of broke away, some of the team from Dead Space and formed their new studio, and they are underneath the PUBG group. I think that was kind of their move to finally be able to do what they want to do. Now, we know Xbox allows their devs to do it creatively. So if there was some way that they could get from underneath and they really wanted to come over to Xbox, sure. But again, do I think that's realistic? No, I don't think so. I think they're probably pretty happy. Seems like they've gotten all the support they need from everything that we've seen from Callisto Protocol. It's looking top notch. This is looking AAA. This is the next big step up for this team. And I'm curious to see how Callisto Protocol does. It has a ton of hype right now. And I think to the Game Pass comments, I think this is one of those games that down the road, 6 months, 12 months, when they've seen those sales kind of cap at a certain point amongst all the different, places that the game's going to be put on, then I think that maybe they start looking at a Game Pass to, grab those extra people who may not have jumped on board, and get a nice little bag at the same time for a Game Pass deal. So I think that eventually happens. But yeah, no, I mean, if the talent ever becomes available, I'm all for it. I don't think there's ever enough to go around. I think you got to bring in people, good people, when it shows itself to be available. So I definitely think that's something they could look at down the road for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. And I absolutely agree. Jesse, let's get your opinion on this, brother. I mean, listen, Callisto Protocol, like Pong said, is getting a lot of hype. I'm certainly hyped for it. I'm a horror guy, so I cannot wait to play it. But I mean, look, hearing the comments of it coming into Game Pass, It sounds very promising, as if they've already talked about it. I mean, that's what he seemed like he was implying, that they've already discussed it. And obviously they want to see how sales are going to go. This is some people can consider horror niche, right? Like, is this going to sell like a new Call of Duty? Probably not, but it's still going to have a subset. It's going to move 2-3 million copies in the first week, at least in my opinion. What are your thoughts on them potentially coming into Game Pass? More importantly, maybe they or Microsoft makes an offer to get the studio.
So the Game Pass, like Krafton doing PUBG into Game Pass, they've had a pretty good relationship. Subnautica.
Yep.
Yeah, they own Unknown Worlds, who makes Subnautica. Those have come in. I think it's more an issue of when, not if, it ends up in Game Pass. Probably dictated if they've got that marketing deal with Sony by whatever they've got in there, because they're so aggressive in their keeping things off of other sub-services so they can pull it into theirs if possible. I think as a target for acquisition, it would be Krafton. It wouldn't just be one of their devs. They've got a lot under them: Bluehole, PUBG, Rising Wings, Unknown Worlds. They've got a lot of different genres covered under what they do, and I don't think Xbox is going to be looking for individuals themselves. Activision, ZeniMax, they might look for individuals, like the actual publishing arms that they bring in, if they're looking for an individual.
I never actually thought about that in the bigger picture things. That would put the PUBG
Blizzard just added the ones who did the Mage BR. I forget the name of them. But like, they're adding their own individual studios. I do think Xbox is going to focus on publishers.
So, Jesse, you don't think that Microsoft is going to go after the Asobos or the IOIs and things like that? Because I would say argue most fans believe they would.
With the 10-year contract they've got with Asobo, it is different. Like, I think they probably, much like they oddly do with NVIDIA, have a first right to refusal on them being acquired. Yeah. So that's the case where it would. Ones where they've been working with them already, and even then, I think it's more.
I think they have the same thing with Avalanche as well.
Yeah, like anyone they're doing a publishing deal with, I wouldn't be surprised. Outside of direct publishing deals, I think the focus would be publishers, and also where do those studios go? Do they go under Xbox? Because Matt Booty already has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Like, do you make another publishing arm eventually, or do you just start letting ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard King doing things, especially since Activision won't be putting 28 devs onto Call of Duty, presumably, in the future. So I do think as a whole, the game, I imagine, will be on Game Pass sooner than later. No idea when, unfortunately. It's always so hard to have any idea. But I don't think they'd go just for that studio when they've already got an owner. I think they'd go for the owner.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in the least, to be honest with you. I mean, that would be another giant publisher, and one that no one would expect, to be honest with you. No one would.
They've got a really good relationship with them.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And that's pretty interesting there. Daniel, Matt, we'll get back to you. So you had to pop out for a second. Dan, let's get your opinion on this. Listen, you've done some videos where you talk about what's next for Microsoft, in regards to when they're done with ABK, because we know, I mean, they've already said it. They've publicly said that we're not done. This is just a stepping stone to solidifying, content for Game Pass, which is the big thing. Game Pass is the big play for our Xbox, and we saw that with the official announcement of the friends and family plan for as low as $5 a month. So it is going to be a big deal. What are your thoughts about Callisto Protocol potentially coming into Game Pass? Again, not at launch, because that's a shame. That's actually a shame. That would have been a great title to have if they would have gotten, Microsoft would have snatched up those marketing right deals before Sony. That could have been a day and date launch, and it would have been considered, almost a first party launch because of its quality. But him saying what he said, it's eventually going to come here. I like the way Jesse put it, and it's not if, it's just pretty much when at this point. But do you see the PUBG owners being eyes for Microsoft at some point, considering that PUBG used to be the king, but kind of is just not anymore?
Yeah, I mean, so whenever I've done those videos, I haven't really brought up Krafton, partially because I don't think most people know that they exist.
Yeah.
And secondly, because outside of a couple of studios that they have, the majority of them are just kind of like mobile studios, which normally is not something that I would have thought that they'd be interested in. And I don't
the
know that they are
ABK deal
more.
might change that, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know if them buying King will make them more or less interested in buying additional mobile developers, since they'll own one of the biggest ones in the industry. But Krafton is specifically, I think it's their Korean, right? So
Yes.
their mobile developers probably appeal more specifically to the Asian marketplace, where mobile gaming is bigger than anywhere else. So it might be a pretty worthwhile pickup. I'm not personally a huge fan of Subnautica or PUBG, which are both under the Krafton banner. But there's no denying that they're extremely popular and huge games. So if they were able to purchase that and bring it in under the Microsoft banner, it would be huge news, obviously. And I don't necessarily even think it would be super expensive. PUBG is probably driving that price up, but not a ton.
PUBG Mobile.
Yeah,
believe it or
PUBG
not.
Mobile specifically, which
Yeah.
actually I think PUBG Mobile, if I'm not mistaken, is developed by Tencent. So there might be some like mess happening there where they might not be able to acquire it without making some kind of deal with Tencent. And I don't know necessarily that they would want to do that. I know that they have some undisclosed level of investment into definitely Bluehole. I don't know about specifically striking distance, whatever it is. But they have some level of investment into Krafton. It's not a controlling amount, or we would know about it. But
Right.
regardless, if you were to buy Krafton, then Tencent would get a pretty good paycheck out of it. And I think that they definitely have enough control that it would be a confusing situation as to what goes where. But in terms of just getting Callisto Protocol into Game Pass, that's something that, I don't know, much like Jesse, like I feel like that should happen at some point. I don't know when, but it definitely rings as like the type of game that would do very well in that context, because like horror games are sort of making a resurgence, and a lot of them are showing up in Game Pass specifically, right? Like we're getting Scorn.
Yes.
I think Outlast was in there for a long time. Like there's just a lot of that in there because it makes for a good like group time. You know what I mean? Horror games are huge for streamers. And I don't know if Callisto Protocol is going to be more horror or more like action horror, but I feel like it still fits into that vein. So I think it would be really good for them on any level of pickup.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Umbra, let's get your opinion on this, brother. What are your thoughts on, listen, the one thing that we have learned about Xbox Game Pass is that they constantly surprise us with games that we didn't know, we wanted to play or that we should be playing, but they go sometimes for the big swings. And hearing that Schofield has such a good relationship with Microsoft, with Xbox, specifically with Phil Spencer, this seems like a no-brainer. This is one of those games that you put into your marketing materials right along with your Call of Duty and everything else that's going to be in there eventually. At some point, it's Game Pass is just going to be such a juggernaut. People are going to. Why wouldn't you put it in there?
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing about me, I told you I'm greedy. Boom.
Yeah, and I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm greedy. I'm like that overweight kid at the buffet. I want it all, man. So give it to me.
You're going back for thirds, and you don't care what anyone says.
I'm on my fourth plate with ice cream and everything else that don't match. I got a salad there I'm not going to eat. I want everything right there. So I'm greedy as hell, man. If Microsoft can get it and it's going to Game Pass, I'm never going to be like, nah, let them keep that out there. I don't want them to own everything. Yes, I do. I want them to get it because I'll get it on Game Pass, and nobody's going to make me feel bad about that. You can try, but it's not going to work. But I'll say this,
Umbra.
Yes,
Selfish,
absolutely. Greedy,
I love
greedy and selfish, Umbra. But I'll say this: it's like he has a good relationship with Phil, so you could say, boom, that this studio's within striking distance.
Yeah, I like what you did there. I like what you
sorry,
did there.
I had to
Striking
do it.
Distance Studios,
I had
the
to
makers.
I had to do it.
Callisto Protocol.
Forgive me, chat. But yeah, I feel like it's possible. You never know, right? Just because they do have a good relationship doesn't mean it will happen. I guess if we're speaking realistically, they are owned by Corporation, as was pointed out. But it's not impossible that they can be acquired from them. but I just don't think that they would, especially with the game is as well received as I believe it will be. Their profile is probably going to go up after this, right? So I don't see Pub Corporation being like, yeah, let's get rid of you now. So to be fair to that, I will say this too. Schofield had this recent controversy, Boom. I'm sure you saw it, where the crunch culture situation popped up. I wonder how that will affect anything as far as that he had to walk it back. I know recently, but
yeah, they were talking about he has got people working long hours to get the game done 6 days a week, and he did have to walk that back. Yeah, I saw it. Look, folks, no one likes crunch. No one should be rah-rahing crunch. I know that we've heard some people say no, crunch makes the better game. I guess I'm not a developer, so I don't know. But as someone that does upwards of 5 shows per week, I understand that sometimes you got to put the pedal to the metal if you want the best product for the people that support your whatever it is, your channel, your game, your live service. You got to go the extra mile, and sometimes rest doesn't come as easy as someone that doesn't put that much time into it. Now, does that make my product better than theirs? That's subjective, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, is it controversy? Yes. Is it devastating to the brand? I don't think so. I think that they have to be better about speaking about specifically about crunch, because it's a big no-no in the industry, and we know that Microsoft does not use crunch to its advantage. Some people think that's a disservice. I disagree. I think human beings come first before profit and before games. But that's just my opinion. But good stuff, Mav. Let's get your opinion on this, and we'll move on to topic number 3. And real quick, 10K followers officially live on the air. Thank
congrats.
You for the
congratulations.
3 people that joined. Thank you very much. I'm going to try for this damn blue check mark because, well, I don't give up very easily. Twitter, if you're listening, come on, man. I'm one of the good ones, and I think I deserve it. But anyway, enough throwing flowers to myself. Mav, first of all, I know that it's a long shot of an acquisition, right? But it's just the way that he was talking about his relationship with Phil, the kind of game that Callisto Protocol is going to be. Let's walk it back like he did and talk about it coming into Game Pass. It seems as if Game Pass is going to be one of those deal breakers for people, developers, publishers going to Sony, because Sony has contracts that are ridiculous. Like, you can't talk about the numbers to this person. You have to talk to us first before you do. I think people are going to get tired of Sony. Sony is going to be in third place after this deal. Maybe not immediately, but Microsoft is going to become potentially market leader at some point. And they've been behind the 8 ball for so many years. That's what competition. Pong, you have some great points about where Microsoft is now and why them buying Activision Blizzard King isn't a problem, because Sony has been in first place for what seems like a decade. If you go all the way back to the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, 3, they had a bit of a flop in the beginning, but they came back, and they've been a market leader since the end of the PlayStation 3 generation, all the way through PlayStation 5. Well, now it's time for a new king, and that king is going to be Xbox. Seeing games like this, is this the last big game we see coming to Game Pass?
Ooh, is this the last big game we see?
Yeah, I mean, like, do you think this is like games like Callisto Protocol that have such oomph behind it? Do you think that this is a big get for Xbox?
Oh,
once it eventually comes, and do you think that this is going to become the norm?
Yeah, it started becoming the norm last year when we started getting big third-party games day one on Game Pass, right? This is not even going to be a day one thing, so it even makes it even more likely. I mean, we get big games in Game Pass all the time, even from NBA 2K all the way to Red Dead Redemption and games like that. I mean, they come all the time. So the question is just rather when, not if. And I agree with Jesse on that. And it just depends on what that Sony contract is like. 100%. We saw the leaked Capcom marketing rights agreement with them for Resident Evil before, and if it's anything like that language in there, we're going to be probably waiting at least 6 months to a year or maybe more before we actually get to see that in Game Pass. But I believe we'll see it. And as far as acquisition goes, man, one thing I would not want to do is try and negotiate with Glen Schofield, because if you guys seen him, he's like one of the most intimidating people you've ever seen before. That's a game developer. I mean, he's like the mafia. He's like a mob boss, like up there doing presentations on the stage, dude. It's like, so that would be intimidating to even try and negotiate something like that. But as far as them acquiring them, I think it's unlikely because of Crafton as a whole. And if I'm just thinking selfishly as like an Xbox gamer and what I want. Do I want them to acquire Crafton? No, right? They don't have a lot for me personally as far as the games that they put out there. Callisto Protocol might be the only one that I'm semi interested in really even playing. They also publishing that Everywhere game, I believe, that was at the Keighley show, at the Gamescom Keighley show as well. And that's going to be like some kind of blockchain type game that they're making. So they're doing a lot of things that I just personally don't have much interest in overall. And when I look down the check boxes, right, of the smaller studios that are out there that I would like to see Xbox acquire, things that make sense, like maybe like a certain affinity, things like that, right? This studio would fall way below about 20 others for me personally, as far as that. Okay. But individually, this game I think is going to be a great get for Game Pass when it eventually happens. It'll happen for sure.
Yeah. Can I put a acquisition target on your radar? Casey Hudson started a new studio.
Yes, he certainly has. I've been saying that from the minute since he signed the documents to start that studio.
Humanoid. Yeah, and
is he salty about the whole 343 situation or anything like that? You think?
I don't know. I can't possibly speak to his internal thinking, but he's the director behind Knights of the Old Republic, the entire Mass Effect trilogy. If there's one person who you want to get on your side, especially if you're focusing on the Western RPG market, you want to get Casey Hudson in the fold. Whether you acquire the studio or just do what PlayStation's been doing and go over to this brand new studio and be like, hey, your first game, you want us to pay for it? Like, Microsoft needs to get on that, because that studio is going to be making.
He is a former Microsoft employee too.
Yes, he actually
he was let go. I don't remember what his part was with Microsoft. He either let go or he moved on, and it was he
left. He was working with the VR, not the VR, the AR team. He came back to Microsoft, and they put him on because that's what he has a passion for. The augmented reality that they were using with the HoloLens. He was on the HoloLens team. And after a couple of years there, he left. He went back to wanting to make games. He went back to EA to help them with Mass Effect, and got so disgusted over there. Said, "You know what? I'm gonna make my own studio." And he left there to start his own studio, which he currently has right now, which he is in development of a new IP.
Okay, so, I was thinking of who was the 343 guy that got was a creative director there that got Chris Lee. Okay, sorry, I get them. Yeah.
No, that's quite all right. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's topic number 2. This next one is a good one as we close in on 500 people here. Let me catch up with some of the super chats. We have Double X Grum. Double X drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, use this $5 to bribe Arron to follow you. Listen, he is now the VP of marketing. He don't need my cheap $5, and he's probably going to laugh at me. And he's the kind of man that wouldn't take a bribe, to be honest with you. But dude, first of all, Grum, it's a name I don't really recognize, and it stands out. So if you're new to the channel, number one, welcome, brother. And more importantly, thank you for the generosity. We certainly appreciate here. And if you didn't know, well, we use these super chats not for our own game buying, but for giving games away. That's right. For the remainder of this year, Mrs. Boomstick and I are giving away $2,000 worth of digital gifts in the next 4 months. September, we're doing a $500 giveaway. Boom's birthday bash. That's the end of this month. November, we're doing Mrs. Boom's birthday bash, which we're giving away $500 worth of digital gifts. And for the holidays, whether that be for you Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, we are giving away the most we've ever given away, folks. $1,000 in one show. That's right, $1,000 of digital gifts, and all of our international viewers are welcomed because we will, even though you're not within the United States, we will not say you can't get your prize if you want. If the picker picks your name and you are, let's say, in the UK, or you're in Southeast Asia, we will use a PayPal to get you that money because PayPal is the safest thing for us, and we pay all transfer fees as well as all changes in denomination from one region to the other. We pick up all that on our backs, and all you got to do to win, folks, is be in the chat. But if you are a channel member, you drop a super chat or you are subscribed to the channel, you get extra entries. And again, biggest giveaway. By the time this year is done, Mrs. Boomstick and I will have doled out $3,000 worth of digital gifts. And that is funded by you folks. That's right. We take the super chats, we put them away after Google takes their 30% because that's what they do. And we tuck it away under our pillows for a rainy day for these big giveaways. And that's how it's done. So if you want to support the channel, become a channel member, drop a super chat in there. And who knows, you may get picked on one of these big upcoming events that we have. But listen, let's get to topic number 3. And this one is pretty interesting. Now, during Gamescom, Matt Booty, who doesn't really get enough face time, in my opinion. I think Matt's a good dude. I haven't had a chance to talk with him like I did Arron or Bonnie Ross or any of the big wigs over at Microsoft. But I know that he's doing good work. A lot of the times we wonder what work that is because he's not as forward facing in the public eye as maybe we would like. Certainly I would like. I'd like him to be out here more often, but that's just not his style. He's a behind the scenes kind of guy. Can't argue that. Obviously Sarah does what she does. Phil, Arron, and everyone else, Larry Herb, they're forward facing community folks and they handle the business well. He had a bunch of things to say, so much so that the interview with him, I had to literally break up into several shows. So we're going to be talking about what he had to say regarding the initiative. Not today. Today, we're going to be talking about something different. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about the collaboration that's been confirmed between Undead Labs and the Coalition. That's right, folks. The Coalition is helping Undead Labs with Unreal Engine 5 for State of Decay 3. That is incredibly exciting. And we're actually going to have Andre Doyle, who's a friend of the program, who's been on Prime Time before, making his triumphant return. And he knows tech. He's a techie, so he's going to be breaking down exactly what that means for that particular game. But here is what Matt Booty had to say regarding the new Fable. And this is something that we've all been waiting for. We don't know when this is coming. We have no idea what it looks like, but we do know that Playground Games is in fact doing it. And after last year's Forza Horizon 5, is there any doubt that they could deliver? Well, certainly not from me. But this is what Matt Booty had to say. It's pretty lengthy, so stand by. He says this, folks. They will show it when it's ready. Part of my job is giving air cover to the team. They don't want to show stuff early before it's ready to go. But there is one game where that is kind of flipped, that has kind of flipped around, where every time I see something, I say, we should show this. It's Fable, because there's a lot of cool stuff. The team has made it clear that I am not going to be able to show anything until it's ready. Sad face emoji, but I understand. This is what he continues to say. Playground, and he pauses. Just what I'll say is that the craft and dedication that they brought to Forza Horizon, every bit of that is going in and being applied to Fable, and they get it. Let's be honest. Giving Fable to a racing team could be a little bit of a head scratcher, but they have proven that they get it. And I'm excited for when the time comes to be able to show more. Pong, this is great news. I know that there's a lot of people that say exactly that sentiment. Why would you give a racing team Fable? That's preposterous. How do they know what they're doing? Well, they've hired a lot of folks, specifically from the Sony side of things, that make God of War, that made Horizon, that made Metal Gear Solid 5, open world type of developers that also get it. When you hear the confidence, and I get it, Well, what? Why shouldn't he be confident? He's the head of Xbox gaming, and he should be confident. And of course he should be, but I don't think he's blowing smoke, so to speak. I think that he is genuinely impressed with what the team is doing. How excited are you for Fable, and does this give you confidence?
Oh, of course, absolutely, 100% excited for Fable. Fable's one of my favorite, 360 franchises, and it's been languishing for way too long, and it's great to have it on its way back again. And I have the utmost faith in Playground. I love studios who break the mold, and I love studios that go outside of what their expertise is because they want to be one of the best studios in the world. They've stated that fact many, many times. And we already know, obviously, the quality, the passion behind the Forza Horizon series that team has brought, that studio has brought. And now they have another team taking that and putting it into a genre they've never touched before. But like you said, Boom, they're going outside, bringing in a ton of talent to help them with that transition. And I think that all signs point to Fable living up to what we in this community and we old Fable fans are bringing as far as the hype goes for this game. And I have the utmost faith in this team. And I think that Playground is going to show that they were serious when they said that we want to be considered one of the best devs in the world. And I think that the Fable is going to put them on that pace. And so, however long it takes, whatever they need to do, I don't care. I don't care if this is 2025. I don't care if it's 2026. When Fable hits, I think that this is going to surpass even some of our expectations because they understand the history. They brought in some of the old Lionhead people as well to work on this. They are geographically located in the right area to bring the humor back to Fable. Even if it does set a more serious tone this time around, a darker tone, which I'm all for. I think this is going to be more realistic looking Fable. I think the art direction will go away from the old Fables, which I know some Fable fans may not agree with, but I'm all for it, especially with the power of the current gen. Use it and bring me that experience. Bring me to a new world and give me something different than I had before, but sprinkle in that old Fable humor and that old fun. Let me kick some chickens around and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm all about. But Playground's going to nail this 100%. And I think that, hearing Booty's thoughts on it and that he wanted to show it already, and you could say that's just him speaking from an Xbox side of things. I get that as well. But I think that he was really serious. Booty doesn't talk a whole lot. We don't get him in a whole lot of interviews. So when he is out here promoting something like a Fable, I'm going to sit up and take notice a little bit more. And the fact that he wanted to show it and they're turning him down speaks volumes to where we're at. Because we know Xbox now knows from the community that, hey, you can show things way too soon. Like, let's not do that because then people get really impatient. So I'm back on the train of, hey, let's wait until it's really ready to be shown off before you give us anything. And I think that's the route they're going here. And I think it is the correct route. But yeah, everything in this interview was really cool. And I'd love to hear actually outside of even Playground that him and Phil got to play in Exile's game as well. Again, these studios, Playground obviously was already on the map. We already knew who Playground was because of Forza Horizon. And obviously, we had huge expectations for them. But overall, all of these studios that Xbox has acquired through the years are expanding. They're growing their teams. They're getting more resources than ever before. And they're being allowed to push the limits of what they're going to do. And I think Xbox has really put a focus back onto quality. There is no more pushing out games just because we got to get something out the door. And that's why I think that Fable specifically, they know the importance of this franchise. They know they are rebooting a fan favorite franchise, and they're not going to push that into our hands until they are satisfied that this is going to be the experience that we've all asked for and been wanting for years and years and years. And I think that that's where Playground's expertise is going to show up. Obviously, we know the environments are already going to be incredible just from Forza Horizon. And then on top of that, all the talent that they've brought in from the outside to fill in the rest, to learn how to make an open world RPG, to do character building, which obviously, again, is not a part of Forza Horizon in any way, shape, or form. All of that, we're going to see it in its glory once it gets to us. I can't wait, Boom.
Yeah, good stuff. Steel Rain, let's get your opinion on this, brother. This is great news. Again, Matt Booty doesn't do that many interviews, but this one, I guess maybe he's been holding back. He really dropped some big bombs about the initiative, about what they're doing with Perfect Dark, about Crystal Dynamics, specifically about State of Decay, getting help from the fine folks over at the Coalition. But this particular part of that interview I thought was incredible, simply because I'm like Pong, a huge Fable fan. I cannot wait to see what this team that's known for racing does with this franchise, and I do equate it to see exactly what the team that used to bring us only Killzone did with Horizon Zero Dawn and their most recent release, Forbidden West. Now, Forbidden West did release buggy, but they have course corrected since. I mean, that team was only known for Killzone, right? And out of nowhere, they release Horizon, which is one of my favorite new franchises for Sony. I have a strong suspicion that we could see the same type of success from Playground. What are your thoughts on what he had to say?
A lot of what Booty had to say is just kind of like just reassuring the fans that they're moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
I definitely want to see, because he definitely seen a lot of really extremely hype about what Playground's doing with Fable. So that's definitely going to be the main proponent for me personally. As someone who was a fan of Fable, more so on the back end of 3 when that ended up coming out, because I played in the co-op with my wife, was one heck of the experience for me. But that made me fall in love with and also go play 2. And so the series is something special to me. So I'm also a supreme fan of the Horizon series and what Playground has brought forth. So a lot of the things that Pong was touching on are some of the same things that I'm excited about, because Playground really does have the potential. And like you mentioned, Boom, they could do that exact same thing, come out with a different type of game and really hit it out of the park. I've mentioned this before. My main thing is, can they bring a character to life? Because right now, I mean, again, when you're focusing on the car element of things and then the environment, there's a lot that goes into that. I know people try to make Forza seem or Horizon seem more so like it's just some car game, but it's not just some car game, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, and they're magicians when it comes to that. Not only the engine, but also just as far as like game design and everything goes, as far as what I have been demonstrated over the last 5 Horizon games. So I want to see a lot was going to happen from Playground going into Fable. But yeah, man, the main thing that I took away from it was just he seemed excited, man. And when you see that, it's just the same thing every time that I hear Phil speak on anything concerning the Xbox and what he's trying to bring to the community, and this is what he stands for. It just hits you differently, and makes you at least internally say, okay, man, I feel like I'm welcome in this ecosystem that I'm in. It's continuing to support my investments in there, and that was the main thing that I took away from his comments and everything. So.
I mean, that's good stuff. Jesse, let's get your opinion on this. Fable has been on a lot of people's minds, specifically Xbox era. We don't know what's happening. What are your thoughts on what he had to say regarding the studio? Oh, you're muted, Jesse. I don't know what happened. Oh.
Dog was barking, so I hit the button so it wouldn't come through, and I forgot.
No worries, brother. No worries.
It is exciting because I do think it was one of the games that get announced early, like very early, probably not more than 2 years into dev, while they're still really building up the studio. So knowing that it is moving along, he's really happy with what he sees, because they were at the time where they had just started reinvesting. They were almost dead in 2017. They start that investment up. Playground wants to do an RPG. Xbox is like, hey, why don't you make it a Fable one? And they were happy to do that. And I always feared it was going to be way further off than everyone was expecting because it was announced, kind of, it had leaked quite a bit, but then it got announced kind of out of nowhere. People are like, oh, it must be a little further along if they're announcing, but that really was the time that they didn't have much. They had just started reinvesting. I think they kind of knew things weren't going to be super close if they weren't like a third-party deal to bring something into Game Pass day one. So it's good to hear that it's coming along well, like we did with Perfect Dark, which we'll talk about on another show. It's exciting. I love the series. I'm really interested to see what a modern take on it is. I don't think it's going to be a huge game. I'm hoping it's a more dense one. I'm hoping it's something that is more defined and less open world map game, because that was one of the things I was really liked about the original Fable trilogy was it's just all about your character, and then like the world is sort of there to serve growing your character. And if they get Fable, that's what I take out of that type of statement.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The one thing that we know that a lot of these games can be expanded upon through DLC, which I would imagine is going to be a thing. How long before people start talking about, well, we need a Fable 2? Because, obviously Fable 1 isn't even here yet. I am happy to say that, what we've seen, I think they're going to take, because we know that they got a couple of devs over that helped with The Witcher. A couple of those devs came over, and maybe I don't know specifically who it was that they got, but I know it was mentioned, and they got devs from a lot of places that specifically worked on these big open world games. I understand your take. I don't want it to be too small that it's over too quick. Like, I want it to have side missions. I want it to have a main mission.
Yeah, and I meant more just like you get those checklist map games that just are these enormous.
You don't want an Assassin's Creed type of deal for this.
You can do a lot of stuff in a smaller play space, like especially with your writing and if you've got with their more RPG approach, lots of talking, lots of I want a big game. I just don't want a big game.
Yeah, and makes perfect sense. Let's see, who haven't I gotten? I didn't get Mav. I didn't get Daniel. I didn't get Umber. Umber, let's go to you, brother. This is one of those flagship IPs that had been dormant for quite some time. And when it got announced, one of my biggest criticisms for Xbox, and I'm not going on a tangent here, has been their lack of bringing back classic IPs. I'm still waiting for Banjo. I'd love to see Conquer come back, seeing how well that High on Life is going to do, because if it's it's bad behavior, so to speak. They still have a long ways to go. They are on the right track, obviously, but I want to see this particular Fable come back in a big way. Are you moved by what Booty had to say regarding how he feels the game is coming along?
Yes, the Booty moved me.
Yes,
I will never get used to his name, by the way. I'm gonna have to start calling their brother Matty B or something. I don't know. I just feel wrong. Like, yeah, Matt Booty. I'm like, nah, that's not right. I think he has enough power and money, by the way, to change his life. Anyway, no, seriously. I'm excited as hell about it, man. Fable was always one of my favorite franchises. It actually really got me into the RPG genre more so than anything else, I would say, playing part 1 and 2. And so I'm actually very excited to see this. I was wrong before, where I thought this year at the showcase we would probably see it teased a little bit to see a little overview of or something like that, and because it seemed like it was further along. But I expect that maybe next year, or if not, I guess next year will probably be the case. And if he's coming out saying what he's saying now, I'm actually more certain that we'll probably see something shown at the showcase next year. Depending if they do the whole 12-month thing again. If they do that again, maybe not. But if they don't, we might see it showcased next year at the E3 equivalent or whatever they do. Actually really excited to see it. And one thing I will say, though, Matt Booty, a lot of times when you hear him talk, he seems kind of low energy. And I think it's just his nature, right? It's his personality. So to see him have a little bit of excitement for this when he talked about it did give you more hype, I guess, because he's always so like relaxed in his tone. It does also seem interesting that Microsoft doesn't really go heavy-handed into how they will go and push games out. So he's like, hey, we want to see this, and they're like, nah, we're not ready yet. And he's like, okay. It seemed like they give them enough power to kind of to dismiss them if need be, and that shows you the quality not only of the respect that Microsoft gives their people under them, but also it shows Playground's level of quality where they're like, nah, it looks great, I'm sure, but we're not going to show this until it's like pristine. So for that reason and even if I'm pretty sure you all have seen like some of the concept art and such like that we've seen, what people are assuming it belongs to Fable rather. And if that is true, I am expecting this game to look spectacular.
Yes.
I hear Jesse on it when he said he's hope it's big but not too big. Man, I hope this game is gigantic. I hope that it takes me hundreds of hours to complete.
I agree.
Yeah. With it being their first one, I don't think it will be. I think they'll ramp up to something like that, but I do think the first one might keep it constrained a bit as they learn something new.
Give us a strong 40-hour campaign, and then dump on us something like Blood and Wine on the back end.
Oh, man, can you imagine the DLC being that great? Yeah, that's the standard right there for me.
Yes,
Blood and Wine
is the standard.
Yeah, and a Heart of Stone. So, but yeah, if they could have managed to do that, and I actually that's why I said The Witcher 3 and RDR2 were my game of the generation, by the way, last year. So that because of that, the structure they had for their missions and side missions, I would love for Fable to be as strong with their missions and side missions. So that'll be excellent. I trust Playground completely. People often ask who would you say is the best studio at Microsoft. It's hard for me to pick because Playground is one of them. Obsidian obviously is one.
Yeah.
I don't know which way to go with that just yet, but Playground hasn't let us down yet. I don't expect them to do so with Fable.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Real quick, I got to shout out 3 people. We have 3 new channel members. That's awesome. Ooh. The Collector, Wolverine, or Double X Wolverine, Double X, and Tom from Toonami. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for becoming channel members. That is very, very kind of you. Here at Double Barrel Gaming, we certainly appreciate it. Daniel McGee, you're someone that's looking forward to a new Fable. Is being that we haven't heard much, we haven't seen anything except some concept art. Mm-hmm. Does Matt Booty's words comfort you in what is going to be expected to be a huge launch for whenever this game releases?
So, I mean, yes and no. I wasn't like worried about it before, so I don't know that comfort is necessarily the right word. I think the fact that he wants to show it off in the studio doesn't just speaks to the level of autonomy that Xbox studios have. And I think that that's a really good thing, right? Like we hear about all the time, right? We hear about things like the BioWare, right? Like the Anthem show trailer got shown off where it had the what are they called, javelins, the Iron Man suits flying, and they didn't even have that in the game yet, and they were like, oh, do we need to make these fly, right? Like there's all kinds of things like that where we hear about situations where like the devs don't find out about something until the same time that we do, right? And I think it's really great that probably because of the number of studios that Xbox has, they're able to give their studios more autonomy and the ability to sort of have more control over their own projects. And I think that's really fantastic. In terms of, what I think this game is going to turn out to be, first of all, I think it's going to be fantastic. If you look at just the level of fidelity that Playground has been able to hit with Forza, it's if they can get even half of that into an open world of some level, then it's going to be absolutely beautiful. The writing,
their
would be the one
photogrammetry
thing.
skills, I can imagine.
This is crazy.
Yeah, the writing, I would say, is the one area where I'm not concerned about it, but I'm interested to see what level that hits on, because like I think multiple people have brought up already, it's not really something that they've had to do a whole hell of a lot of for Playground, but I'm sure that they've hired specifically people to solve that weakness. Like they're not unaware of the fact that it's not something that they've done a lot of. So I'm really looking forward to it. I love the previous Fable games. There's certain things about it that I hope don't make the transition, like the farting in faces bits. Like I could do without that.
What?
I think
That's
I have,
part of the charm right there.
you know, there's certain things like that that I feel like we didn't necessarily need. I also think that hopefully, I mean, it was a 360 game, the most recent one, so there's obviously a lot of updating that needs to be done. Like you couldn't just drop that same combat system in and have that fly today. So I'm really interested to see what this game is, and I'm more than willing to let them take however much time they need for it. I think that if they're able to put out something on it, doesn't, I don't even necessarily think it needs to be like a 10 out of 10, because like Jesse said, this is their first time that they've been doing something like this. I think if they put out something on the level of like Immortals Phoenix Rising, where it's really good, but it's not necessarily like game of the year, you know what I mean? I think that that's the level that I'm expecting, but just higher fidelity, better writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, good stuff. I mean, I agree with you, and I think the writing is going to be key. Who does that is the question, and it's going to be interesting. Mav, let's get your opinion on this, brother. What are your thoughts about? Because again, we don't really get a chance to hear from Matt Booty that often. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's his choice or a Microsoft choice because he's busy. I mean, he is a busy dude. He's got currently 23 studios under his leadership, and I don't know if it's just the. I mean, does he oversee everything? We don't know. But I like hearing from him, especially when he has updates like this, especially when he starts talking about teams working together and the days of AAA games being made by one team are a thing of the past at Microsoft, which means that they are basically doing what Sony has been doing to great success, is having multiple studios work on a said game to get it on get it out and to get it done right. What are your thoughts on what he said specifically, though, on Fable?
Yeah, I think the most promising thing is that he said he gets it with regarding to Fable, because that was, I think, a lot of people's primary concern originally, is like he said, racing studio going to make a very humorous fantasy based game that's a legendary game in the Xbox community, and trying to replicate and recreate something that seems so uniquely Lionhead, right, with their style. So that's one thing that was worrisome at first, but then after hearing things out there, you know what I mean, and we know people in the community that have potentially worked on this game that have had positive things to say as well. I'm being careful, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that I think is going on with that game, and I think it's going to be a beautiful game. If it's anything to take away from their engine and what they did with Forza Horizon 5, especially, you can just look at that, and if you were to walk around in the environment in there, it would still be a gorgeous game, right? Even without the racing component, just walking around in the trees and everything there, the waterfalls, all that stuff. It's like, wow, that's a gorgeous environment. That's a big open world that they did, right? So they know how to do that. Then the question was the writing and the RPG mechanics and the combat and all these things. But hearing his confidence in them and how they are able to achieve those things with the fact that they get it is promising. The other thing he had alluded to as well in these conversations, because we've heard from him two different situations within the past 2 weeks, actually. He was doing different interviews, which is great because you don't, like you said, you don't hear from him that much. I believe one was with Larry Herb. He did an interview with the podcast, and he also did a sit down on stage interview somewhere as well. And
the PAX.
PAX, right?
Yeah.
So at both of those things, he gave different insights, and one of them was the fact of sharing technologies and sharing information between the studios and stuff. And he was giving examples about that, with specifically with like State of Decay and Undead and then the Coalition and working with them and all this information. And there's something we'd always kind of talked about is like, I wonder how much the studios are going to be able to work together and share information and share technologies. And it's really cool to see that they have that kind of ecosystem now. That think back about just 2016, right, and the darkest days of Xbox, to think that they'd be in that situation today where they have this suite and it's only going to get grander the more that they add, that they can go out there and have all these relationships, all these devs, and get input from one to the other, and they kind of have each other's backs in kind of a way, right? It's pretty awesome, dude. And I don't know when this is going to come out. Even before it was announced, it had been rumored for forever, right? And people listening to podcasts like, Podcasts Unlocked or some of those other ones out there, they had alluded in interviews like, hey, people had been hinting that the Fable was in development, right? And I think at that time, maybe it was in like conception phase, getting like world building type stuff, and lore, trying to find the right writers, find the right team, trying to put things together. And then it has to go through a couple years of actually getting that together. Then it goes into hardcore development, and they had the new engine and all these different things. So maybe it's still 2 years away. Wondering, that seems very likely, but I think this is when it comes out. It's going to be special, and I think it's going to elevate Playground, which a lot of people just right now, they think of Playground as the Forza Horizon team. They just think of Playground as a racing games team, and they kind of get slighted in that regard when their talent is so amazing. And when this game launches, they will probably become known as one of the top tier developers in the world. I really believe that.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that statement at all. Listen, everyone had killer points of views, but we have to get to the last topic, and this one I think both Pong and Steele are going to have a lot to say because they talked about this on Living Split Screen this Friday. Yes, sir.
No, I was saying I was okay.
Yeah. So obviously you got a chance to take a look at it yourself. Let me just bring up the story that I have in front of me. Look. Game Pass Friends and Family was just announced for 2 regions. It's safe to assume that that's going to be announced potentially very soon for the Americas and UK and everywhere else, right?
And I don't know if you saw the I can't say it, the Italian website that does a lot of back end scraping on Xbox.com just found the US assets for it.
Did they? Oh my God, they are ridiculous over there on that Italian. Yeah, they find what Jesse's talking about is there's an Italian Twitter handle that originally found and just posted the logo of the Friends and Family before. I don't know how he found it, but he knows how to dig through things. And thanks, Jesse. He just found the US one. That's going to launch sooner than later. And the reason why I could see it launching sooner than later is Sony just put out some information that they're going to have. I think it was a GameSpot that did a story that they're going to have more PlayStation 5s available this holiday, which is great for if you don't have a PlayStation 5, and a lot of people don't because they can't find it. Don't pay those scalper prices. But what I am getting at, folks, is the question that I actually have for the panel, the question I actually have for the near 450 people that are still here, is alluding to something that Phil Spencer said directly to the CMA. To me, this was a bit of a draw in the line in the sand, and I love it. I love the ballsiness of it because what the CMA had to say was rubbish. Utter rubbish, written by a 19-year-old fanboy. It was embarrassing. The fact that whatever Sony said got into those documents that was supposedly written, not cut and paste for the CMA is mind freaking blowing. But Phil Spencer said this in his response to the CMA. We intend to make Activision Blizzard's much beloved library of games, including Overwatch, Diablo, and Call of Duty specifically, available in Game Pass to grow those gaming communities. Now, look, folks, I have been talking about this for a while. I have not had a chance to talk about it specifically with the people assembled for today's panel. And Pong, I'm going to start first with you. When you and Steele went on a bit of a tangent on which made it a 4-hour show, this particular topic of all of them was my favorite because it really does put an exclamation point on what this deal means for Microsoft, but more so what it means for Xbox Game Pass. And one of the things that we saw mentioned in the CMA was that they were concerned that Sony would lose their number one position as market leader, which I can't believe someone actually said in actual documentation for someone that's supposed to be representing the people, but apparently they're in the pocket and they are representing Sony. Xbox Game Pass, I think right now, eats Sony's lunch when it comes to their streaming service. I have their streaming service. I'm a top tier streaming service customer. I did it because they offered it for the remainder of my subscription that doesn't end until the end of February, I think it is. Yeah, February 24th, I think it is. I wanted Stray, and Stray is great. I'm enjoying it. This month, they didn't have a new game, and that's fine. But Microsoft has Xbox Game Pass, and it does get new games on a regular basis. Hell, Death Singer is one of them that was confirmed, along with everything that's coming this year. It's just bonkers. My question to you, Pong, is will PlayStation gamers, whether that be hardcore or the casual, which I think the more the casual will be the answer to this question, see that Sony is charging $76.43 here in New York for a game? And I'm telling you, Pong, you know this. It's only a matter of time before some kid says to another kid, yo, you're not going to believe it. I just got the new Call of Duty for free. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about free? Yeah, this Xbox Game Pass, because Steele actually said that on the show. People just consider it being free. We don't consider we pay $15 a month because the amount that you get with it, we just equate it to free. Will something like Call of Duty literally be the one that pushes them to the 50 to 60 to 70, 100 million subscribers?
Absolutely. I think that this is inevitable at this point. Now, there's a lot of different things that could happen along the way that trip them up. Of course, they could do something ridiculous and come out and say we're raising the Game Pass to $40 a month, and totally destroy all their momentum. But of course, when you're spending $70 billion on one publisher, you're not doing that. You're doing that for a variety of reasons, and specifically, Call of Duty is such a hyper focus point for so many people because everybody understands right now in this industry what that means to have control of that franchise, right? And as Steele and I talked about on Saturday, when it comes to this whole regulatory bodies, and they all have different perspectives depending on where in the world they are, but the CMA, obviously the one that we are focused on now because they made the statements public, and to a lot of us they seem pretty ridiculous. But understanding now the phases and all that kind of stuff, it makes more sense. But who cares if Sony drops out of the number one spot? That's competition. That happens all the time. And Microsoft getting control of Call of Duty and being able to drop it in the Game Pass is going to be a seismic shift at the end of the day. Now, how long that takes? Well, who knows? We don't know how fast the ripples will spread. But like you said, Boom, it only takes people outside of this community, right? Because again, we always forget. We break the news here. We live the news every single day. We're reading every single tweet. We're reading every single article, trying to guess, trying to have the crystal ball out, trying to project what's going to happen in a lot of cases. But we are here in the moment. But the mass majority of people still don't even know that Microsoft and Xbox are buying Activision Blizzard right now, right? They don't know that. It's not going to be until the deal is done, it's all over the news, and their friends start talking about it at lunch tables or at work at the water cooler or whatever the case may be, that it's going to start to spread. But then, like you said, Boom, when that does happen, when the transition happens and we start getting Game Pass or start getting Call of Duty into Game Pass, day and date, as been stated, and I don't think anybody should have been surprised. We saw the journalists out here trying to make giant articles. Oh, Phil said it's coming to Game Pass. Well, no duh. Obviously, again, of course it's going to come to Game Pass. Again, you don't spend $70 billion and not put those games into Game Pass. But once that does happen, and people start getting used to the idea, hey, next Call of Duty is coming out next year. It's 8 months away. Well, I've got Game Pass. I'm all set. I'm gonna have Call of Duty right in there. And they start telling their friends, "Are you getting Call of Duty?" Because we know it's going to be crossplay, right? We know they're going to, again, crossplay has been a thing now for a while. So there could still be people on PC or people on PlayStation 5 playing with their friends on Xbox. But when they start to go and they go, "Hey, are you getting Call of Duty?" and people are going to be like, "Yeah, I got to remember to buy that." and their friends like, oh yeah, I don't even think about it anymore because I just have it coming to Game Pass. That's going to have an effect because then the people that still are not in the bubble who don't understand what this actually means are going to get an explanation through that conversation about what Game Pass is and what it means. And then on top of that, they're probably going to be able at that point be able to say, yeah, you can go pick up a Series S for $199 down at Target right now. And then people are going to be like, what? Yeah, $200. You can play Call of Duty. Oh, yeah. Really? Yeah, you just buy Game Pass. $10 a month, $15 a month. You got it. That's how that education is going to work. So, yeah, I do believe the seismic shift happens. I think that Call of Duty is obviously not the only piece of this deal by any stretch of the imagination. I think Phil's being real when he says King is the real,
I agree.
The one that they really want here for the mobile side of things. And I think that's because, again, 2 billion, 3 billion people don't reside on consoles, okay? They don't reside on the mainstream, what we consider AAA home runs. That's not where they reside. As big as Call of Duty is, it's not selling. It's not selling nowhere near 2 billion, 3 billion people. So I think the mobile side is the big part. But I think that Call of Duty, along with your Diablos, along with your Overwatches, once that becomes the norm, once everybody associates those games with Xbox, which we know is going to happen, whether they stay multi-plat or not, matters zero. They become associated with Xbox, the Xbox marketing, all of that stuff. That's when you see the mainstream, when you see the normies out there start to realize, well, hey, now that Call of Duty's in there, man, that's like the key that goes, okay, so you say I get Call of Duty plus 400 other games? Okay. For how much per month? Okay, I'm in. And then again, on top of the family and friends, or the friends and family plan with Game Pass, it's going to be so easy for those people to say, hey, I've got 1 slot open. I've got 2 slots open on my friends and family pass. Give me $5 a month through Venmo, and you can join my family pass. You know what I'm saying? That's where this is really going. Again, there's much bigger plans for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road by Microsoft standards. They already have things set up that they're counting on that this Activision Blizzard deal is going to let them do. But Call of Duty is going to be that instant win for them. So I think that that's really where this hits home. And I think that's why everybody's hyper-focused on it. But again, anybody who says Sony can't compete without Call of Duty marketing deal, look, you're really putting Sony down. And again, just if you want to say, well, they can't be number one anymore, that's a part of competition. Again, nobody cried foul when Sega was forced out of this industry as a console maker. Nobody cried foul then, right? Because
I cried foul, but
yeah, well, of course,
I'm a Sega
fans did. but again, my point being is that that's how this industry works. Everyone understands that any competitive industry is this way. If you can't compete, or if somebody comes along and does it better than you, or changes the game like we're seeing Microsoft and Xbox do, then that's just how it goes. And you got to try to figure out how you can do something to bring yourself back up. Again, that's competition. So Call of Duty is a major piece. But yeah, I think, Boom, at the end of the day, this is going to be that defining moment of this generation when this ABK deal goes through and Game Pass gets all of these games and they can finally start dropping Call of Duty. Number one, this is the defining moment of the gen. And I think it will change the landscape going forward, that by the end of the generation, I could easily see 75 million Game Pass subscribers. I mean, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all.
Yep, good stuff, brother. Listen, Steel Rain, before we bring you in on the conversation, James176, who's been a member for 27 months. Wow, James, thank you so much for the support. He says, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. If Callisto Protocol comes to Xbox Game Pass, that's a game changer. Indeed, it is. Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat and has been a channel member for 2 months. He says, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah, and Arron Greenberg, this is the team that got ZeniMax and now Activision into Microsoft ecosystem. Great job, indeed. And Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a member for 2 months, says, I Still Rain is going to play in VR when living split screen reaches 1K. I love it. I love putting out the challenges. Steel Rain, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You guys talked about this specifically in a really big topic on what Call of Duty means. Can you see a world where a lot of the normies or the casual audience that has boosted Sony's 117 plus million PS4s.
Mhm.
Do you see them looking over the other side of the fence? But then that grass is pretty green over there, and it's much cheaper. What are they going to move minds and hearts?
I think they will 100%. I mean, again, the writing is just on the wall, as we've seen with other subscription services. I mean, the main reason that I say which the content that you get within Game Pass, you kind of look at free, especially when it's new games, especially where it's just new content overall. Is that fact in itself, right? You don't look at your Netflix. I mean, I know there's some people are, but for most consumers, because it's like it's part of your entertainment, right? You know, it's like TV back in the day or internet now. You don't think about it. You have to have it. It's considered as part of your bills. And I think the same thing can happen with Game Pass, right? Mainly because my angle has always been the main difference in it. This is the reason I don't like the comparison to Netflix or Disney, is that TV is very different from gaming. Gaming is they're both time investments for sure, but with gaming, there's not only a time investment, you get an emotional connection, you get a whole different world, you get to experience a piece of art that took years to make or to develop, and that's also time, hundreds of hours in one game potentially that you spend within this world. And once you've done something like that, even if that one person comes in for Call of Duty, because I know that's the main thing that people come back to, you only sell those kinds of consoles and people are only going to want that if you can get your sports games and Call of Duty in there. Okay, perfect. And that's exactly fine. And that's exactly what that model is going to do. It is going to pull people that way, but it's going to attract even more of an audience, because what the family plan's also going to do, or incorporate at least, is that word of mouth, getting more people as part of their service. Even though because another angle that people may look at it as, well, those people only paying $5 a month. Xbox is just about to inflate their numbers with this family plan thing. They're going to have 5 people under one subscription. And it's like, okay, I mean, you could look at it that way, but at the same time, because they were either able to get in for free or they got in with the $5, if you're going to use the family plan for that, they're going to end up spending money in other places. That's been proven. Just because Game Pass is a thing and it's become this hot commodity here as of late and seems to be only ballooning more, doesn't mean you still can't buy games, right? You have Netflix and Hulu and everything, but it doesn't prevent you from going to the movies all the time. It doesn't prevent you from getting that DVD if you're into that. So you still have those options available to you. So the more options that you can give your consumer, the more options that you can give those 3 billion people, if that's the goal that you're trying to reach, the easier it is to boost up your economy, right? The main proponent that I can use for this is Amazon. There was a stat that I heard earlier on the day, and I can't remember the numbers now, but apparently there's a majority of the people, at least in America, who have an Amazon Prime account, right? And I can imagine there's a lot of people who don't think about that, or think about their Prime membership at all, because you're using it all the time. 2-day delivery, yeah. Why wouldn't I want that instead of getting it 5 days later? It's little things like that. That might be something small, but that one thing made it worth it enough for you to also, now you got Amazon Prime, you watch the videos on there, now you're part of that ecosystem. Oh, there's other movies I can rent in here. Oh yeah, let me rent a movie for a night. Mind you, you're not renting movies for days at a time, you're renting movies for 24 hours sometimes. So there's just so much potential going up this. It's like a roller coaster ride, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the top with Xbox, because especially with them just having their hand on the pulse of this digital era, the golden age of gaming that me and Pong talk about all the time. And the more value that you can put in the face of the consumer, again, Call of Duty is one. But like we mentioned in our show on Live a Split Screen, it's not the main proponent. It is going to draw people in because, again, like you mentioned, Boom, all it takes is word of mouth. Hey, I gotta pre-order that game. I gotta buy it over here. Oh, really? Well, I got it in Game Pass. I want you to come be part of Game Pass. Or like you also said, Boom, well, I got an extra space. Come on through, Timmy. I'll ask my mom later when we get home from school or whatever the case may be, and then it just escalates from there. And I can only say that as someone who kind of saw the ebbs and flows of multiplayer gaming and how that affects how that affects a mass audience of people, right?
Yep.
Just being part of that environment and everything. So that's kind of my take on this one.
And good stuff as always. Jesse, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, you guys talked a lot about this on Xbox Era. I mean, the writing is on the wall. Steels and Pong are like literally on point with this. But one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about, when you're saying that what the success that came with Sony last gen was the casual audience. The casual audience only buys anywhere between 2 and 4 games per year. 4 games being like the maximum. And what 4 games are there? They'll buy a Madden, they'll buy a Call of Duty, they'll buy a Battlefield, they'll buy a Grand Theft Auto. Maybe they'll buy a Spider-Man because it's the Spider-Man is the zeitgeist of the culture. But they ruled the roost, so to speak, for Sony in the last generation, where I think there's a good shot that Microsoft could see the exact same success, especially with Call of Duty in Game Pass. Do you see it playing out like that?
I think there's just a difference, really, between Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo in the way they're going to approach the future. Sony is shifting to more service stuff, like a lot of their deals and new studios and stuff they're getting are not focused on big single-player tentpoles that take 7 years to be made. For Xbox and with Game Pass, it's not like Game Pass keeps it so you can't buy games. In fact, Phil says, and people always seem to have a hard time believing it, he says that people spend more money than ever when they have Game Pass because they're in the ecosystem. So, but Call of Duty's big. There's no getting around that. But it's a big part of a pie that we're all really used to. Like even the PlayStation 4 being its enormous console that outsold the Xbox 2-1, even the Switch being this just mega monster, they still have a ceiling. Like they're not going to get past or to where PC and mobile gaming can also add on. And I think that's by far the biggest like growth vectors, to use a business term. Focusing on mobile with Call of Duty console isn't the big thing for Call of Duty money-wise. The big thing for Call of Duty money-wise is Call of Duty Mobile, not the console version. So that and the King stuff are the biggest money makers for them on in this acquisition. The biggest growth drivers for PC Game Pass, especially with Blizzard being such a iconic, enormous PC company, getting things like Overwatch 2, getting perks for World of Warcraft, getting Diablo 4. Like these areas where they can grow the most are going to be the perks for mobile stuff, which includes Riot next year, which I think is actually going to be their biggest driver.
Dude, that's going to be that's a lot of people forget about that Riot deal. That is going to be monster.
The value on that one's crazy.
It is.
Every hero in pretty much every game they make, which is many hundreds of dollars,
if not thousands.
Yeah. The pushing PC, pushing mobile is the main area they're trying to grow, because I think they know these deals they've already done, along with the growing their own first party, is already going to push their console stuff pretty much about as hard as it can go, because we know the ceiling on console, you're never going to do more than 120, 130 million consoles, even if you're number one and going off crazy like Nintendo does. You can get way bigger than anyone's ever been if you can combine doing well on console. They don't have to be the best. They just have to do really well, be more competitive on console, but start dominating on PC, which is literally their own platform, which has always been funny that they have struggled so much on it. And mobile is bigger than anything, by far, by a massive factor. So Call of Duty Mobile, I mean, they've already got Minecraft, which is one of the biggest mobile games, and people don't really think about it.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely trending that way. It's only going to get added to. They're going to keep grabbing companies, and they might not always be the ones that we as console gamers are really into, like a Capcom or WB. Even if they are something like a Krafton, like PUBG Mobile's an enormous game, and getting that South Korean and Japanese audience.
Well, that's really where they were struggling. And Phil has said specifically they want to make a big dent there, and they're working on it.
Yeah, they're doing really well in the West. There's a reason the PlayStation 5 didn't go up in price in America. It's because it's the most competitive market. It's like they know they're doing really well here. And so the areas they can really grow are going to end up being Europe and Asia. Like and Phil's talked a lot in the past about Africa and other different places you don't think of. So I
Yep.
do think by the time say this decade ends, it's going to have gone in a direction none of us would have thought of because they are really just so much bigger than we can comprehend, that their aspirations can be so much more than we've ever seen before. So yes,
Yeah,
I do think it's going to change.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's get in Daniel McGee. Daniel, what are your thoughts on this, brother? I mean, this is a game changer, no pun intended. But how big of a deal do you think this is going to be? Is the casual audience going to be Microsoft's biggest success in this generation?
Absolutely. Right. I think that, and I apologize if you can hear the lawnmowers in the background. They're
No, it's
circling around
okay.
my apartment like the least intimidating motorcycle gang of all time. Yeah, so I think that this is sort of what we've been talking about off and on for a really long time in the Xbox community is people keep throwing at us like, what does Xbox have that competes with God of War, like these big blockbusters? And it's like, at the moment, nothing. Maybe Hellblade, we'll see. But that's not where the money is. That's not where the players are. You need to go to the casual audience. You need to have something like King. If you can get Call of Duty, that's massive, right? Getting people on mobile or wherever the players are, that's how you grow your company. That's how you hit 3 billion gamers, like Phil Spencer was almost laughed out of the room for having said, right? Like, these are the steps to make Xbox a global brand on the level of no one else, right? This is what needs to happen for that to be reality. When we talk about Call of Duty being dropped into Game Pass, which will happen, I don't know if it'll happen, next year or the year after. I'm not sure what the contracts are, but when that starts happening, it's going to be a seismic shift. It might not happen overnight necessarily, but that's one of the games that people who are not listening to this podcast know what Call of Duty is. You know what I mean? Like, and Activision has a handful of those, right? Or Activision Blizzard, right? If I go up to my sisters and I start talking about World of Warcraft or Candy Crush or Call of Duty, they know what those are. I can go up to my parents and I can talk about those three things and they know what they are, right? Like, they are on a different level than almost anything else. And so the ability to lock that down to a platform, to not necessarily lock it down, I guess, but to keep it in your ecosystem, to have it, more attractive there, that's going to bring people in on such a large scale that, I mean, we're going to see PlayStation fall into second, if not third place. And I didn't get to talk about the CMA thing yet, so if you don't mind, I think I'm gonna go on a little bit about that. The fact that the CMA came out against that, and they were talking about how, PlayStation doesn't have a way to compete with Call of Duty. That's just factually not true. I feel like the CMA and a lot of people who have been talking about this same subject need to understand the difference between competing and beating. There are so many shooters and so many different things in this genre that compete with Call of Duty. Just because they're not as big, just because they don't make as much money, doesn't mean that they're not competition. Look at things like theme parks, right? What's Disney World's competition? Six Flags? A bounce castle that your uncle set up? Like, what is Disney World's competition, right? It doesn't become an issue for the CMA to step in until it becomes a monopoly or it becomes something that is hurtful to either competition or the consumer. And if you can't prove that it's one of those things, then there is no reason to be stepping in. Now, of course, I don't know anything about these big mergers and acquisitions. I'm not a lawyer in that front, so I defer to people like Hoglaw.
Right.
And he was not surprised to see this go to stage 2. And so I guess we probably shouldn't be surprised either. But the way that they worded that was absolutely ludicrous to me.
100%. Ridiculous. Yep. Well, I mean, listen, great points on both the CMA and on what Microsoft intends to do with Call of Duty and what they intend to do with everything else. Anything else you'd like to add before I move on to Mav?
Oh no, sorry.
Oh no, that's okay, brother. Mav, let's get your opinion on this. Listen, you play a lot of online stuff with a lot of people from the community. In fact, right after the show, you're probably going to go play some Battlefield with the rest of the guys, and that's awesome. But in your opinion, watching this transpire, how has Microsoft tapped the vein? Are they going to be able to move the people that really move the needle for Sony last generation and bring them over to Xbox and make them Xbox gamers with Call of Duty in Game Pass?
Yeah, I think overall, all of this is going to drive people. I mean, that's what they're doing all of this for, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of this, is growing their ecosystem.
Yeah,
and their ecosystem is Game Pass now. I mean, it's not just a device. It's not just an Xbox. They have an ecosystem that has grown to be on all these different devices. You can, point to the friends and family thing and all these different things they're doing, which I believe was a necessity to get to where they need to go with growing that to as many consumers as they want to reach, right? Call of Duty is that one of those names, right? This is why PlayStation doesn't want to lose it. It is an identity for them to have that associated with their brand, right? So it brings people automatically to them just for the name Call of Duty. And when Xbox has that behind them, they're going to be able to put it on their commercials, right? You're going to be able to put it on their boxes. You're going to be able to put it on their cards for, gifts for like a 3-month trial or a 3-month gift, Game Pass Ultimate. Or you're going to be able to do all of these different things. You're going to be able to, and it's not just Call of Duty, it's all these other things they're getting as well. You get Overwatch, Diablo, things that appeal to so many different gamers. And it goes into all the different genres, all the different variety and everything that they're adding is just going to increase the amount of people that are going to give Game Pass a chance. And because once you get that one person that's like, okay, you know what? I've been downplaying this thing. I've been paying attention. I've been happy buying my 1 or 2 games a year on this box, and I've been happy. But you know what? Like that game, I can save money if I just do that, right? I don't even need a console. You just sign up, pay $15. I get to play the game. You can try it out. Why not? It's worth a shot. And then, oh my God, there's 400 other games. Like Pong was saying earlier, there's like 400 other games in here. Like, oh, what's this coming out next week? Right? That's how you get like people in these ecosystems. Like Netflix will get you with Stranger Things, right? And then hope they get you on the next show that they have and the next thing. And there's always something there to try and grab you. And that they got to make it as appealing as possible. This year's hurt a little bit because it's just a general lack of AAA big time games this year across the industry, not just Xbox. But overall, once this onslaught happens, and then you have these other massive games, and then Jesse was talking about the Riot games as well for PC. That's just adding another layer of type of gamer that's not currently in the ecosystem, right? So they're appealing to people that, and this offends some Xbox gamers sometimes because we're like, oh, why don't I just want this? I want this. Why aren't they doing it for me? Because they've so much focus on other things at times, right? But the reason they have that focus is because guess what? A lot of us, they already have sold, right? We're already buying the Xbox. We're already buying the games. We're already subscribed to Game Pass. They need to get the other people that aren't already in the ecosystem into it, right? So doing big deals like Activision Blizzard's part of that, but also doing the Riot Games deal and then doing all these other deals like they did with Fortnite, making it to where you can play that on the cloud without even having to sign up, is getting people into the ecosystem. I think they had said like 2 million new users or something like that had not have been associated with Xbox previously, just from that alone. So they're just making moves, getting more and more people used to the brand and used to the ecosystem. That's what it's all about. And it's just going to get easier and easier to make that happen. Especially when Sony's, let's be real right now. Sony's struggling, right? Like, and they're struggling with their market, not not the console. The console's selling out, right? Their games still sell pretty well right now, and it doesn't have the attach rate necessarily that they want, but they have a huge game coming out later this year. But overall, year to date, their market is like 40% down. 40%. Now I know the whole market is down across the board pretty much, but that's more than any of the other major platform holders, right? That's it. That's more than most publishers as well. So, and what's Sony's biggest moneymaker? It's PlayStation, right? So there's a lack of confidence in that system that they've had for so long, where they've been just buying exclusivity as their number one brand recognition and way of bringing people in, raising prices, doing this, doing that. Is kind of being seen as some as anti-consumer, where Microsoft is out there pitching hey, provide value for everybody. More people can play, more bang for your buck. You're going to get all of these games day one as well. So yeah, it's going to drive a massive amount of success, way more than we've already even seen, which Game Pass is already a success, in my opinion, right? It's already transformed the industry. It's already changed the industry. But once this flow gets going,
they're in
2023, we've been saying it for a couple years now, ever since Game Pass started, and when we saw what they were doing with acquiring these studios, and all these projects started getting in the works, and then once they announced Fable, and once they those games like that, once they acquired ZeniMax Bethesda as well, and they got Starfield, and Elder Scrolls 6 is coming in the future and all that stuff. It doesn't matter if those games are exclusive or not, even. It matters that they're in Game Pass.
Yep.
Because guess what?
Exclusive in itself.
The Game Pass is the exclusive part of Xbox, because if all you need to do is pay that one price per month, you get access to all those games. And no matter if a game shows up on another platform or not, you saved money. And guess what the consumer cares about most? Their wallet. Over anything else, the consumer cares about their wallet and their personal finances more than anything else. And if you can get the quality and get the value, then that's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it's headed, and it's going to make a big impact.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let me get Infinite's final opinion on this. We'll get everyone out of here. I want to thank over nearly 500 people here today. Infinite Umbra, give us your take on this. How big of a deal is this going to be? And are PlayStation gamers going to move over to Xbox? Can Call of Duty do that on its own?
Yeah, the thing is, Call of Duty doesn't have to do it alone. Boom. That's the beautiful thing about this, with them getting ABK, because now you have Diablo 4 to contend with. You have WoW to contend with. You have, so many other games if Microsoft utilizes them properly to contend with, from Crash to everything else. So it's not even just Call of Duty. Call of Duty will be the main factor more than likely, but it's not even just that. The biggest point, though, is like what Mav pointed out too, is the cost of things. Mav made a tweet a while ago. He said, Sony's stock is going down and such. He said, what do you think caused that? I jokingly said $70 games, but I don't quite think it's a joke either. People underestimate, because we're so used to the fanboys on Twitter who will, call us welfare gamers if you play on Game Pass, and they hype up their pockets like they're money bags. But these dudes are struggling too. And I mean, we've come across the guys who said it, and next thing you know, they have a Kickstarter asking for money for, to pay their rent. So the thing is, at the end of the day, it does come down to cost effectiveness and money that you're saving. It does come down to your pockets, no matter what anybody else tells you. And having this family plan like this only goes to shore up that value that you get with Game Pass. There's no way around it. And if they can keep up that quality as far as first party and things like that go, and third party that they bring to it, it's undeniable. I do believe that Microsoft will eventually take market share from Sony by the end of this gen. They'll probably take their place, I can imagine, if they continue on with this the way they are. And try as the CMA may, I don't think there's anything they can do about that. But just coming back to it, I think even the bigger question is I mean, because if you look at the 360 and the PS4, the switch to the PS4, most abandoned Xbox One because Microsoft didn't seem behind the games for that, and clearly they showed it with the console they gave us. Hey, it was weaker than the PS4. They had the box with the Kinect. They didn't like that, you know what I mean? And then the whole DRM situation didn't help either. So all of those things hurt it, and it cost more too. So all of that comes down to point out that once you give us what we want as far as a more powerful console, they've done that with the Series X. Give us something more affordable with the Series S and Game Pass and quality, which they're clearly working at. It's a winning combination. So absolutely, I think that Xbox will be taking a bit of Sony's lunch when it comes to that type of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for your Tuesday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. The panel completely knocked it out of the park. Let's get our guests first, and then we'll get everyone the heck out of here. Jesse from Xbox Era, sell the channel's brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can subscribe and check out John and Nick and yourself and OBM each and every week on the Xbox Era. And where can people reach out to you on social media to strike up a conversation?
We are xboxera.com. It's all listed up at the top. It's youtube.com/xboxera. We do tons of reviews. That's my main thing. Every Saturday. I'm thinking of next time. Every Saturday at 6 p.m. xboxera. youtube.com/xboxera. Xbox Era podcast, our main thing of the week. And you can see, everything I do is just on twitter.com/xboxera.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Real quick, Shooter 2853 says, "Congratulations, old man. Well deserved for the 10K. Thank you with the $5 super chat. Definitely appreciate that, brother." And Steel Rain, sell the brand on Saturday. We talk about it all the time, but maybe some people don't know that you and Pong are on the hunt for 1K. Love to see you guys hit it this year. You deserve it because of the work that you do. Man. Talk about Living Split Screen. Talk about being live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every Saturday for 3 and sometimes 4-hour shows. And where can people reach out to you on social media?
Well, to start off with, I do want to say, look, the 3 to 4 hour shows, I want to tell you guys, it's not intentional. It's just me and Pong. We just got a lot to talk about, and we come from so many different angles and have such open conversations. I think that's why I really coined that viewpoint of taking the RTS view, as gamers should know, real-time strategy. You're pulling yourself out of the world, looking at the darker crevices in the map, pulling your resources together, and just building that foundation, building that base up, and having an open conversation. Because it is about potentially reaching that 3 billion gamers or whatever's going to open up our ecosystem, right? But yeah, man, appreciate for the little bit of shout out there. But every Saturday, me and my brother from another Pong do host a podcast called Living Split Screen. It's a non-console centric platform. We talk about everything that's going on within the industry, and we add a lot of personal flair to it. Come check it out, man. We are on that road to 1K. Again, we get to 1K. I'm playing Callisto Protocol day one, guaranteed, and I'll stream it. Again, I think it's going to be really interesting because when I tell you guys Dead Space was a limit for me, playing Callisto, especially after this most recent gameplay, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat, man. So definitely, I think that's going to be a really fun time for a lot of people. And then other than that, man, you can find me. I make it real easy for everybody. Steel Rain. But it's Steel Rain the T is a 7 everywhere. Typing in Google, you're guaranteed to find me. Look, my wife didn't believe me. I'm telling you guys, I've done the research, typing in Twitter, Facebook, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, it don't matter. Type it in, you'll find me. Greatly appreciate your room for inviting me on. Another fantastic time with the brothers on here. And man, y'all stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, you as well. And as great as what you said is interesting, I want that challenge for Pong So. I want Pong So playing with headphones in the dark and recording it the way IGN used to spook their
you want to kill me, Boom. You want to kill me. Just say it.
Oh, so listen, Pong So, you're on a lot of shows, brother. You bring a great energy to each and every one that you're on. I'm honored to work with you when we can. Obviously, you're not here each and every week because of work, but you do bring a very unique and fun way to think about the industry in everything that you do. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can find you on other shows, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
The honor is all mine, Boom. You know that, brother. Nothing but
Thank you,
love
sir.
and respect for you and everything you do over here. You were one of the first ones to give me a shot when I jumped into this community, man, and I'm forever grateful for that. But this was great to be back on Factor. I miss being here on Tuesdays. I wish things were different, but they're not. So, like you say, real life happens, got to pay the bills, but I will jump in here anytime I do have the opportunity, and it was great to be back on here with all my brothers. I've heard way too much Steel and Mav, but that's probably going to continue today anyways as we hop into some Battlefield. But it was great to be on here with Jesse and Daniel McGee, and of course, Umbra. You guys know what it is. Respect everything you guys bring to the community and to these shows as well. But this was awesome. Chat, you guys were all amazing. Had some shenanigans in there, but everybody handled it very well. Appreciate you all for coming out and supporting us and giving us all the love as well each and every week on all of these shows. You can find me Pong Soul, Xbox Pong Soul on Twitter. You can find me Thursday night on PM in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. Another two-man show, but Mav's got some great guests lined up for the next few weeks, including this week as our brother from another Psychonauts joins us Thursday night. Be there 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Great show. Mav and I just catch up during the week and have a conversation along with the chat as well, a lot like what Steel and I do on Saturday. So be there. And then back at it, Xbox Ultimate Fun Speculations channel Friday nights, where we go left. We laugh a lot, but we still talk some gaming too. Great way to end your Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. And my hype man already took care of Saturday here. So join me and my brother from another Steel every Saturday. We only do one show a week on that channel. That's why we're growing slow, but we're growing steady. We just passed 600. We are trying to get to that 1K goal by the end of the year. I know a lot of people show up here on Boom's channel. Guys, check us out. Again, 3+ hours, normally 4 hours on a Saturday. Don't have to spend the whole time with us. You can break it up like Boom does.
I do.
Chores.
Yes.
Listen, we're going to have a great time, though. Steel and I just love to talk, and we talk about all the industry, not just any one console or piece of plastic or anything like that. So be there Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time. Love to see you guys join in. And then otherwise, Saturday nights, the Shop Podcast PTK Blams channel, where myself, of course, PTK, and our other brother, Fuzzy Belvedere. We usually have a guest on, but we have had a few shows where it's just us three. But the interesting thing is PTK lets you guys take over the second half of the show. So bring your questions and throw them in the chat, and we'll talk about them. So that's a great way to end your Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming, people. You got to understand this. I know a lot of people like to downplay it, say things back in the day were better, all that kind of stuff. Listen, as a gamer who's been doing this for 4 decades now, this is the time to be alive, to be gaming. So get out there, enjoy it, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to y'all real soon.
Absolutely. Daniel McGee, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your channel where you can get really detailed, sometimes as long as 30-minute videos, which are fantastic and well-researched. And where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee or on YouTube at Daniel McGee. That's Daniel MCG, just like it says here in the box if you're watching live. I'm working on a video right now about how PlayStation feels like they're kind of throwing this generation. I don't know when that's going to be out. Hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm having a lot of fun with it and getting maybe a little bit messy, but that'll be the next one. So come on by, hit subscribe. Getting real close to 500 subscribers, and I'm hoping to hit that by the end of the year. So I would love to see you.
Yep, everyone's information. All you gotta do is click it twice. Click it once to get in there. Click it once a second time to subscribe. You can find it nice and easy in all the show notes. And Daniel, thank you so much for that. Mav, let's get you out of here, brother. Sell your brand, brother. You got a lot of shows that you're on that you do for your channel, Fun Speculation. Where can people sub your channel? Let's help you get past. Are you at 2K yet, or are you past it?
No, 26. Yeah, we're at
So
2600 now.
you're
Yeah.
moving to 3. So let's get to there. Let's get him to 3K, folks. Come on, he does a lot of good work for this community, and him and his wife do a great job being a big part of it. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about it.
Yeah, check us out over at Fun Speculation. It's on YouTube, and we do multiple shows, kind of like Boom here. He's inspiration to us all, as you know. But we do have a Monday show called FSP, Fun Speculation Podcast. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thursday's show is Pong, Soul, and I, and we go deep diving into some topics. Usually, it's been a busy last couple weeks, so we covered a lot of stuff last couple weeks. And we have a great time on that show. That's 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And Friday nights is Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, I stream games a lot over on the channel, so check out some of our gameplay. You can check out some of those Battlefield streams we've been talking about. And
you'll be co-streaming some of the shows this week too, right?
Yes, on Friday, we have the D23 Expo. Is going to be covering that with they have a gaming showcase, and there will be a new game revealed. It is guaranteed that we're going to see Amy Hennig's new game from Skydance Media, and that's a Marvel Ensemble game. So I'm super excited about that. So check out that stream, and that'll be Friday early in the day at some point. And then Saturday, the Assassin's Creed Ubisoft Forward Showcase. There's going to have a lot of stuff there. We're going to be covering that. We do lots of different things. I try and cover as much as possible, but again, Boom is the OG with this, trying to do all these different shows and stuff. So appreciate you, Boom. Everybody here, it was an awesome show. And chat, you rock also. And yeah, Sony is struggling. I'm just gonna add that again to the chat. Somebody doesn't believe it.
Yeah, no, they are, and they'll learn the ways of the Force very soon. Last and no way least, Infinite Umbra, who his name was stolen by Risk It for the Biscuit for the Xbox Infinite podcast. At least that's what I've been told. I can't confirm or deny. Infinite, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where they can have that show on Friday evenings and your incredible crew over there. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Oh yes, tell the truth, shame the devil. Boom, you're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter under Umbra Infinite or Infinite Umbra. You'll find me either way. I want to thank you all in the chat, and of course the panel members here, and our guests, and more like our sixth man, Steel Rain, right here. For always coming through and laying down a business with your takes, man. Yeah, appreciate you guys. And Boom, of course, you, my man, for being the greatest host and bringing us into the fold. Absolutely. Your Mortal Kombat footage, by the way, took me by surprise when I was talking about that last topic. I saw the girl seesawing you with that sword. I was like, whoa. Because I haven't played Mortal Kombat in a long time. And I'm like, oh
yeah, hey. This is the most brutal game I've ever seen. Like, it's quite crazy.
Violent. Yes, quite violent. Oh, but anyway, seriously, you guys can also find me under my so-called named podcast, Infinite, Xbox Infinite podcast on Fridays. By the way, we have a really good guest this week, a really big time guest. We have Dealer. Excuse me.
Ooh.
We don't have Dealer.
Oh my.
We have Randall Thor.
Oh, listen, that's just as big as Dealer in my opinion.
Absolutely. I just want to hype you all up really quick. No, but we got Rand. I got my Chi-Town brother coming through, and so it's going to be a really good one. We were probably talking about Chicago food and things like that, so you all should come.
And Barbie games.
Well, yeah,
definitely. My Little Pony game.
Either Barbie or Pony. One of the two is coming out. I got to get my achievement score up too, so it's probably that. And you all can find us on that on Fridays at 8 o'clock Eastern, and of course you'll find me here on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern for you guys.
Yeah, well, listen, thank you so much for that. Real quick, super chat came in from the Collector, who is a new channel member. Thank you so much for that. He says, so disgusted by Sony's bad attitude that I will never give them a penny. How do you feel about how do you feel about it as PlayStation owners? I don't like the bad behavior. I just think the disingenuousness of Sony, especially with the way they rake their player base over the coal, and some people just continue to take it with a smile, is unacceptable. But again, listen, a big shout out to everyone that tuned in. Thank you so much for making this another successful Xbox Factor podcast. I want to thank all the super chats that came in, the new channel members that have come in through today. big shout out to you. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.